This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
One more to go, 81 down. One more to be played tomorrow night for the Winnipeg Jets on the season. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis with you. We've got a lot to get to today. We will certainly talk right off the bat about the Jets' loss last night in Utah, heading back home for their final game of the regular season. What that meant in the standings, certainly as it pertains to the upcoming draft lottery. We've got a few more playoff series that are set right now. We'll get to that. And we're going to talk about what Bones had to say last night. Oh, my God. Our guy Bones took the infamous pushback speech and, double, triple down on it with the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. Some pretty incredible audio. If you haven't heard it, we're going to get into that as well. Sean McIndoe is going to join us coming up from Down Goes Brown from The Athletic. And then our guy, Ken Wiebe, a little bit later on as well. We're going to check in with Amber Marr. Great corporate event coming up in support of Kids Sport, a pickleball tournament they're doing for the first time. So we'll let you know about that and how you and your company can get involved in support of Kids Sport. And we're going to welcome in our guy, Pat Gregoire from CoolBet on the program a little bit later on. Do not forget, if you missed yesterday's show, of course, it is Fight Week here in Winnipeg. Saturday night, the big night at Canada Life Center. We're doing a promo with our pals at CoolBet where we're giving away some great seats for the fights on Saturday. You can check out our socials for details, but if you're making any hockey bets, playoff bets, or even better, bets on the fights on Saturday, screen cap your wager, send it into contest@winnipegsportstalk.com, and for every $10 wager, you'll get a ballot. You'll double your ballots if it is on the fights on the weekend, and we will give away the tickets to Fight Night on Friday on the program. So you got a couple days to get those in. Again, screenshot them and send them to contest@winnipegsportstalk.com. Got to thank the rest of the wonderful sponsors of WST, including CoolBet and, of course, Princess Auto, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba Battery, Aikens Lake and Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, St. Vital Dental Center, Uptown Alley, Rollies Transfer, Manitoba Building Trades, and the Manitoba Federation of Labor. And we will get to a why not question of the day for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray. Michael Remis, what's going on?
Confusion with this, weather. We had the whiteout yesterday morning, and I'm asking my smart speaker, what's the temperature? It's like, yeah, it's 0, but it's going to get to 20, and tomorrow's a snowstorm. I can't figure this out. I don't know what clothes to send my kids to school in at this point. It's weird.
Bizarre. I've just pulled this up. So, yeah, today's high, 18 degrees and sunny. There's no ice left in the river. It doesn't look like there's much snow around for now. We do have a special weather statement. A late-season winter storm is poised to impact southern Manitoba overnight tonight through Thursday. We're going from a high of 18 to a high of 1. It's going to be there's going to be western and central Manitoba, primarily snow, 4 to 8 centimeters. I think around the city, we're going to see rain, freezing rain, a little bit of snow. So, welcome to Winnipeg in the spring. It could be beautiful like it is today. It could be crappy like it will be in the next couple of days. But I don't think that will prevent people from getting down to the rink tomorrow night for Fan Appreciation Day, the final game of the regular season. We're actually going to tee that up and find out a little bit more about what the Jets have planned for their fans with Kyle Ballharry a little bit later on. But Remo, I have to admit, I mean, last night was exactly the sort of game that I was hoping to see. Listen, we know what the circumstances and the situation is for the Winnipeg Jets. A win would not have been a good thing. But you want to see the young guys play. You want to see the team fight hard. It looked like the game was really getting away from them in that second period, down 4-1. I thought Eric Comrie made some big saves to keep them in. And then a little bit of action in the third period. We saw Mark Scheifele get his 36th of the year from Kyle Connor. And then Isak Rosén with a great shot, taking advantage of a nice bounce on the power play to beat Karl Vejmelka. Made it 4-3. Empty netter, 5-3. That's all she wrote. The Jets don't get any points, which helps them when it comes to the draft lottery. You saw some good things from a number of the young players. And now it is just one more to go as it becomes a little more clear as to where the Jets are going to be on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, which will be the focus of Winnipeg Jet fans because that, of course, is the NHL draft lottery.
Yeah, and we were wondering what was the lineup going to be coming into the game, what combinations we would see at the end of the season. Might as well try a couple things out. We did see Connor, Scheifele, Rosén, Perfetti, Lowry, Lambert, Velarde, Taves, Chibrikov, Koepke, Yeager, and Niederreiter. And they moved it around after. They only got one goal at 5-on-5. A couple on the power play. Kyle Connor gets his 39th. Could he hit the 40 milestone? And Mark Scheifele's 36th and 103 points on the season now for number 55. And I agree, it was a perfect game for the Jets. They don't get any standings points, but they did have some third period pushback and made the game pretty interesting. That shot from Isak Rosén, really nice one. And that's something you hadn't really seen, scoring from that kind of distance from players not on the top line. So, entertaining game. Looked like a fun night for the Mammoth fans who are going to be experiencing playoff hockey for the first time. And Eric Comrie, he gave up 4, but played pretty well and kept the Jets in it when they were getting outshot early. I mean, 14-6 in the first period, 15-6 in the second period. Not great after 2 periods, but we mentioned pushback. The Jets out shooting Utah 12-7 in the third and scoring a couple, put a little pressure on Utah, make it 4-3, and then they got the empty netters, as you said, cover the puck line.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That was key to a few people. Kyle Connor scored 39 last night. So there will be that one milestone on the table. I mean, kind of going into this week, we said, there's 3 things that we're looking to see. Scheifele getting to 100. He's blown past that. He's got 103 now. Gabriel Velarde getting his first 30-goal season and playing in all 82. That is taken care of as long as he plays the final game, but he's got the 30 goals. And then the question is whether Kyle Connor could get to 40. Well, he needed 2. Now he only needs 1. And I would imagine, Reem, the bet of the year might be Kyle Connor over shots on goal for the game on Thursday night.
That's funny. Yeah, personal milestones, something to applaud at this time of year. Velarde career, Scheifele, Connor. Unfortunately, the rest of the team, not so much. So Kyle Connor, very consistent, not another 90-point season, possible 40-goal season. Cool to see. The Jets are off today. Travel day today, opting to travel, during the day instead of right after the game and arriving late. Tomorrow's fan appreciation against San Jose. I am curious what kind of lineup we'll see from the Jets. You like the experimentation. You like the effort. I guess you like the result. You're trying to get the best draft pick possible. You're already eliminated, so there is no benefit to winning. As stupid sounding as that is, saying, it's funny, we're at Boston Pizza for the Legal Curve watch party last night. People are cheering when Utah scores. At least Manitoba hockey expert T. Will from the chat was cheering. But then Scheifele scored a beautiful breakaway goal, adding to his career high point total. And you're cheering for that too. So you can kind of cheer for everything, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen no matter what you cheer for. So that's just enjoy it.
Well, I mean, listen, we know how much, and this has been a common topic really ever since the team bottomed out in the middle of January, that if you don't believe they're making the playoffs, staying and not getting points is a good thing. And it's just the worst place to be as a fan. Like, I can't imagine what it's been like for a Canuck fan this season. I mean, yeah, you finished last and you're probably excited about what you're going to get as a pick. But to be that bad, to be in that conversation, it's just, it's miserable. And, it turns into apathy for a lot of folks. But the way things have actually worked out for the Jets is not bad. I mean, you had a few weeks where they were playing hard and staying in it and actually making up ground. And then with just what's happened in the last couple days, it's not like they've completely blown it and went from that 6th spot all the way to 12th or 13th. As we go into tonight's action, the Jets right now are in the 7 hole for the draft. Vancouver, number 1, Chicago, Calgary, New York Rangers, Toronto is the top 5. The Kraken are at 79 points. They've got 2 games remaining. They played tonight in Vegas. Big one for the Knights. And then is the Jets at 82. Now, you'll notice that Winnipeg and Florida both have 82 points. If they finish tied, Florida will be technically higher than them in the standings, which is a good thing for Winnipeg. So we'll see what happens tonight with the Panthers. They're hosting the Detroit Red Wings. If the Red Wings win that game, the Jets tomorrow will be looking at either 7th or 8th. If they lose to San Jose, they'll stay in the 7th spot. If they get a point, if Florida loses tonight, they would move into the 8 hole, and Florida would be at 7. So best case scenario for tomorrow night's game, Remis, is this. The Florida Panthers win tonight, and that would guarantee that the Jets would not pass the Panthers with a win tomorrow night. The Blues, with their win last night, have guaranteed themselves being ahead of the Jets in the standings. The Jets could tie them, but again, the Blues hold the tiebreaker in the overall standings, so that's good. San Jose is the other key team. The Sharks play tonight in Chicago and then come here to Winnipeg. Now, if the Sharks beat Chicago tonight, the Jets cannot catch them. So I would love to see a scenario where the Panthers actually win tonight. They're not trying to win, but maybe they will. I think it was the same case the other day against the New York Rangers. A Florida win tonight and a San Jose win or overtime loss tonight would mean that the Jets cannot pass any of those teams in front of them, which would mean they could go all out and win the game tomorrow night. Like, it really would be nice to be in a situation where losing is not a good thing in that final game, and you can go out and, maybe light up a tired Sharks team that was in Chicago the night before. I am concerned, though, that if Florida does not win this game tonight, the Jets are going to be seeing a beaten down Sharks team playing on the second end of back-to-back nights. Not that they haven't done a lot of traveling and playing as of late, but it certainly would be nice if you could just go in as a fan to that final game, hoping to see goals, hoping to see a win, hoping to win some great stuff at Fan Appreciation Night, and have it not affect the Jets' chances in the draft lottery and their chances for a better pick.
Yeah, and I think the Jets are finishing up about, where they should be. They're never as bad as Vancouver, Chicago, or the Rangers, who are clearly rebuilding and trading away players at the deadline. Same with Calgary. Toronto really bottomed out this year, and they had incentive to bottom out because they wanted that pick is only protected between 1 to 5, and it's going to be very interesting, actually very funny, if they do fall out of the top 5 and have to give it to Boston.
Well, and they play Ottawa tonight.
Yeah.
And Ottawa is already set for Carolina. So I would imagine that all the top guys on Ottawa will be shutting down or be resting. Now, normally you would think, okay, that's going to totally change the odds. Ottawa's still a massive favorite because the Leafs cannot win this game tonight. If they were to win, they would jump the Seattle Kraken into the 6th spot. And at that point, the only way they get to use their pick is if they get number 1 or number 2 and win the draft lottery. If they stay where they are in the 5 spot, they can, even if they don't win the draft lottery, if the 2 picks are selected by teams below them, they would stay at 5 and they would get to use their pick. There is the juicy scenario that we talked about yesterday where a team, say the Winnipeg Jets, gets lucky, moves into 1 or 2, and the Leafs get bumped from 5, where they finish, to 6. And then that pick goes to the Boston Bruins. So we'll talk about it more with Ken, with Down Goes Brown, who's coming up in just a couple of minutes. And we will also get to the Canadian teams and the rest of the playoff picture. It becomes a little bit clearer. But holy smokes, last night, Bones finishing up his time in Carolina.
Columbus.
With an all-time rant. One that I think probably you could really feel here in Winnipeg, knowing how emotional Rick Bowness is and how much he cares. It was shades of the pushback, infamous pushback press conference after the Vegas series 3 years ago, which was just about, 3 years in a couple weeks, April 28th. If you've forgotten that, we're going to compare the two. This is how things ended for Bones and the Jets against the Knights 3 years ago, and this is the Bones talking about what his team didn't have, and that was pushback. Remember this?
Hi, Rick. Just overall thoughts on that one.
Overall thoughts? I'm so disappointed and disgusted right now. That's my thoughts.
Where does the disgust come from?
Pardon me?
Where does the disgust come from?
No pushback. But it's the same crap we saw in February. It was. That's why so as soon as we were challenging for first place and teams were coming after us, we had no pushback. This series, we had no pushback. Their better players were so much better than ours, it's not even close.
Feels like you've been holding these feelings on for a bit. Is it just out of tonight's game, or finally wanted to release that?
It started back in January and February.
What is it about this team's leadership core or the top end players? We've talked all.
We got to push back. There's got to be a pushback. There's got to be pride. You got to be able to push back when things aren't going your way. We had no pushback. Their better players were so much better than ours tonight. They deserved to win. They were the better team in the regular season. They were the better team in this series. Anything else? Good. Thanks.
All right. So that one got a lot of attention here in Winnipeg and really around the league. And I think it was celebrated for something that absolutely needed to be said. Now, the Columbus Blue Jackets have been mired in mediocrity, futility for a number of years. Bones came in, had an immediate impact, but there was the law of diminishing returns, and they were running on fumes for the last 10 games, were terrible at home. They were eliminated going into the game last night, but it was very clear that Bones challenged his team to come out in front of a home crowd, play with some passion, play with some pride, and set the tone moving forward. He did not get that, and I'll be honest, we just played the pushback, which we thought was sort of the bar. He cleared it and then some last night. This is Bones last night after the Blue Jackets' final game of the season. Buckle up for this.
Rick, you've been a part of a lot of games and a lot of seasons. Have you ever been part of something that's as frustrating as this has been down the stretch?
No. And you know what? All you got to do is look at the stat sheet. 3 hits, 23 giveaways. Like, I don't know if I'm back, but if I'm back, I'm changing this culture. These guys, they don't care. Losing is not important enough to them. It doesn't bother them. Like, how can you go out and play like that? Should have done this about a month ago. But this is why we are where we are. This is why we're out of the playoffs. That kind of effort. Losing, you have to hate losing. I don't care if it's a meaningless game. I don't care. Show up and compete. 3 hits, 23 giveaways. What else you want to know?
All right. Remo, do we have the rest of it?
Yeah, that was just part 1, so I figured we could talk about it because that was the equal time of the other one, but it went on and on.
He was just getting going, and I mean, and this is a unique situation with him coming in mid-season, having such a massive impact, and the disappointing end to the year. But much like, and I think this is the exact reason why Don Waddell called Bones, the job that he did in changing the culture here in Winnipeg, which he has been lauded for, and correctly. There is obviously a big-time need for a culture change in Columbus. There's a need for a lot in Columbus, but Bones, about as disgusted as you've heard of him, and he was so emotional. I mean, it was almost in tears at the start, composing himself. And by the way, apparently we heard 4 or 5 smashing sticks right before Bones came to the podium last night. But it didn't end there. Here is part 2 of Bones, who, as I said, was just getting it all out after game 82.
You reached them for so long after you got here. How did it stop? Where did it stop?
Because it got tough. Because it got hard. Like we talked about after the Olympic break. It's going to get harder. So everything's good as long as it's going their way. And now it gets tough, we don't want to battle back. And that's what's happened over the last a couple of weeks. That's all that's happened. We're going to change that. If I'm back, I don't know if I'm back. Don and I will talk. We'll get to that. But man, oh man, some of those guys are so lucky the season's over and there's no practice tomorrow. Anyways, and there's no more games. What else you want to know?
I think even in the long history of this franchise, I don't think they've ever lost 6 games in a row to end a season at home.
No.
Is that worse?
It's terrible. Inexcusable. If they're not embarrassed by, not only tonight, by that, they're on the wrong team. They are. They got to be embarrassed with that. Anything else?
You sound like a guy that wants to be back. Do you want to be back? Did you scratch the itch? Where are you?
We scratched the itch. I'm going to talk to Don, as we said from there on, right? But and their players were told tonight, if I'm back, we're changing this freaking culture.
I mean, Reem, that was, I think that was like 2-3x of the pushback. And I mean, the line about these guys are so freaking lucky that this was the last game of the season and there's no practice tomorrow. I mean, all-time Bones heater after the game last night. You got to love it. I hope he's back because the NHL is just so much more fun when Bones and his passion is involved in the game.
Yeah, not a lot of guys will go out there and tell it like it is and leave their emotions out. And you saw him just, the breathing before and gathering himself. And he didn't quite say pushback in this one. It was battle back. Didn't quite see that. And they were playing so well, but it sounded very familiar to what he had said here, where when it got hard, when it got tough, they didn't have it to push back. They got off to such a great start. You thought they were going to go into a playoff spot. The door was certainly open, but 6 straight home losses? Not ideal from a Blue Jackets team that does have, some room to get better, Huss, but I thought he did his best in coming in, and he will try and change the freaking culture if they bring him back. I'm curious what they're going to do.
I didn't think that we'd care so much about end-of-season pressers from Columbus, but, I mean, we're going to be all over this. I mean, Aaron Portzline today mentioning that a number of the Columbus Blue Jackets players had disagreed with the coach. Sound familiar? That they don't care. In fairness, he did soften his stance a little later on, much like he did here in Winnipeg. Listen, let's take a quick time out because when we come back, we'll get Sean McIndoe, the Athletics, comments on what Bones had to say and look ahead to round 1 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Hey, Bob, you hear the news?
I can't listen to the news, Daryl.
This is different.
Oh, it's so negative.
Not this time. Manitoba's got these new jobs agreements. And when the government builds things like new schools and hospitals, they'll hire Manitoba workers first.
Really?
Creating good jobs with union standards and more apprenticeships for Manitobans. And we'll get rid of those out-of-province license plates on job sites.
Keeping our money working for Manitobans, eh?
You betcha.
Well, that's how it should work.
I knew you'd like it.
A message from Manitoba's Building Trades and Federation of Labor.
Spring into good times at Uptown Alley and eat, drink, and play at the most fun spot in the city. You'll enjoy 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, a state-of-the-art arcade, and good times playing laser tag as well. And in addition, Uptown Alley features incredible food and drink options at their bistro. Pop down to Uptown Alley with your group or make it a party. It's the best place in Winnipeg for birthday parties for kids, teens, or adults, and an amazing spot for corporate events where you just simply pick your activities, any of your add-ons, what you'd like to eat, and the Uptown Alley staff takes care of everything else. For more information, go to uptownalley.ca, book a lane at 488-0000, or pop down and see him at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. Got a move coming up? Lean on our friends and longtime sponsors at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving and storage in Manitoba. Now into their 7th decade with over 60 years of experience, family owned and operated. Head over to their website at rollies.com to find out all about their services serving Winnipeg and southern Manitoba. In the top right corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. Use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then simply let them know when you're moving, where you're moving to, and what needs to be moved. And the friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly and get you a great quote to get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they've been famous for now for over 60 years in Winnipeg. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more and request an estimate today on your next move at rollies.com. Has it been a minute since you've been to the dentist? If it is, our pal Doc Harry and the wonderful staff at St. Vital Dental Center would love to see you. They've been taking care of generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans in St. Vital for years, and have now moved into a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building. They'll handle customers and clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services, from cleanings and checkups to surgeries like dental implants. Dr. Terry and the gang can absolutely do it all. We'll do it with a smile on their face and make your smile look even better than it's ever been. Go to stvitaldental.ca online to make an appointment. Pop into St. Vital Dental, get that girl taken care of, and tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. All right, let's welcome in Down Goes Brown himself, Sean McIndoe from The Athletic, to look ahead to the playoffs. Sean, how are you, man? Great to have you back on the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We penciled this one in a while ago. I assume we're doing our Jets and Leafs Stanley Cup preview today.
Yeah. That's. Anyways, thanks for being here. That'll kind of do it.
Next year.
Yeah, we're talking a lot lottery, and listen, there'll be some fun conversations over the next little bit. Lots of tankathon simulations, but disappointing. Hey, before we talk about either of those teams, just coming in, we played the eruption of Mount Bowness last night. What did you think when you heard Bones go off the way he did last night in the CBS?
That was really something. We were talking about that on the Athletic Hockey Show podcast this morning. And we were trying to think of the last time that we could remember a coach backing the bus over his own team like that. And I think the best we came up with was my partner Sean Gentili reached back to Michel Therrien way back in the day on the Penguins, talking about how they were soft. This was right up there. I mean, and we're seeing some of the reactions today from the players who obviously don't seem to agree with the coach, and you can understand it, because that's to say that a professional athlete doesn't care is a big that's a big statement. But I gotta say, I mean, it was a passionate little soliloquy, but it didn't feel like it was completely off the cuff. This didn't feel like a guy who was being maybe just in the moment, spilling his soul when he didn't intend to. This felt like something that he had been wanting to say for a while. And it makes it fascinating. That whole decision about whether he's back or not now gets this whole extra layer, because obviously if he comes back, which is a big if, then they have to do something. I mean, they can't just come back with the usual kind of minor tweaks to the roster that most teams do these days. You would assume there had to be a big overhaul. And if he doesn't come back, does that start to feel like, okay, they picked the players over the coach? They didn't, the coach delivered the harsh truth and the players didn't like it, so now the coach is gone. there's so many ways this could go. This just moved the Blue Jackets well up the offseason entertainment rankings for the rest of us. Because I really have never heard anything like that from a coach after a game. Usually if a coach has a meltdown, it's during a game and they're throwing things or squirting water at fans or whatever it is. After a game, after you've had, in theory, a little bit of time to calm down, I can't remember ever hearing something quite like that.
The only thing that we thought was similar was also from Bones, and it was here in Winnipeg 3 years ago. I mean, you remember the Jets were sort of embarrassed at the end of that series against Vegas, and he did the pushback interview where, I mean, he basically got to about 40-50% of what he did yesterday. I mean, yesterday he took that performance and exponentially raised the stakes. And I mean, I'm with you. I mean, now I think Columbus is going to be as interesting. Imagine Don Waddell being back in his office watching and listening to that going, oh my God, what am I going to do?
I'd love to know if Don Waddell had any heads up, if he had a feeling that maybe Rick Bowness was going to say this, if he I wouldn't say encouraged it, but maybe he felt like this is a message that the players need to hear, or if he was sitting there with his jaw wide open, same as the rest of us. Look, I mean, we said off the top, I'm a Leafs fan. I've watched Leafs players who maybe to some extent could have fit that description of what Rick Bowness was talking about, and I've watched them be coddled and protected and almost never criticized by anyone in the organization for years and years. So there was a part of me going, hell yeah, go get him, Rick. Like go drop it on him. But it's really something else. I mean, this is the guy who coached the expansion Senators, and it took the Columbus Blue Jackets to break him. That's really something. He was able to handle Ottawa getting 30 points a year, but this 6-game losing streak by the Blue Jackets was enough that he'd had it.
I mean, it was something else. And as I say, we'll there'll be a lot more interest in these end of season interviews that'll be happening, and when we hear from Don Waddell coming up. You mentioned the Jets and the Leafs. We're now just looking at the out of town scoreboard, hoping that bad teams win. Leafs are in the 5-hole right now. Jets going into tonight are in the 7. We'll see what happens with Florida, with San Jose. But from a Leaf perspective, is there any doubt in your mind that somebody behind them is going to move up, jump them, pushing the Leafs pick to 6, which then, of course, goes to the Boston Bruins?
Right. No doubt at all. As soon as you heard as a Leaf fan that the pick was top 5 protected, you went, okay, well, it's going to be the 6th pick then. That's what's going to go to Boston. And I'll do something that nobody else is even doing, which is I'll defend Brad Treliving a little bit, because there's lots of people saying, well, why didn't he top 10 protected? If he top 10 protected it, it would have ended up being number 11. This is life as a Leafs fan. It just there's nobody who's going to be surprised when, I'm not even saying if, when that happens, when we see that's pick comes around and that card flips over. The question is going to be, which team is it that jumps up and bumps the Leafs, and do they get a thank you card from Don Sweeney and the Bruins? I guess time will tell on that one. But no, I can't imagine that there's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan out there who doesn't know deep down in their soul that pick is going to end up being number 6, and has probably known that since halfway through the season at least.
Sean, while the Jets and the Leafs make tea times, there are 3 Canadian teams that'll be going to the playoffs: Edmonton in the West, Montreal, and Ottawa in the East. Just thoughts on the chances of those 3 teams to make a run, and if you had to back one team to go the farthest, who's getting your nickel?
I mean, I think I would have to pick Edmonton, because we still don't know what the path looks like for them in the Pacific. Yeah. Certainly if it were to land with them playing Vegas first, or certainly in the unlikely event they were to drop down to the wild card spot and then they got to cross over into that Central, then all bets are off. If they've got to go through Colorado and then winner of Dallas and Minnesota, I don't think anyone's picking them. But assuming they stay in the Pacific, it's a very, very winnable division. Whoever comes out of the Central is going to be beaten up. And then who knows what happens when you get to a final. I do still like the Oilers a lot. We know what their ceiling looks like. We know what their top tier looks like. We also know that they don't seem to be able to stay there consistently. But typically in the playoffs, it's often about who finds their ceiling and then how high the ceiling is. And I think the Oilers at least check that second box. Montreal's a great story. They've been fascinating to watch, especially over this last month, as it feels like it's really come together. I mean, I talk about ceiling. That's been the knock on the Canadians for years through this rebuild is, boy, they're putting a lot of good young talent together, but is the ceiling high enough? And I think we've seen this year that, yeah, it absolutely is. That's a tough first round matchup with Tampa Bay. I still think the Lightning are probably the best team in that conference. So having to play them first and potentially even go on the road and do it. I'm not saying Montreal can't win that series, but that is the toughest matchup that they could have drawn. It's a tough break for them. And then Ottawa, boy, I've planted my flag on the Senators the last week on a couple of the podcasts and in writing as well. I think the Ottawa Senators are going to win the Metro Division this year, a division that they are not in, but thanks to the crossover, they're going to head over. They're going to play Carolina. I think the Senators can absolutely beat the Carolina Hurricanes. I think the Senators absolutely would beat the winner of Flyers Penguins, who are two teams that are great stories, but on paper at least would not be big favorites against a team like Ottawa. Look, the numbers in Ottawa, you look at the stats, analytics, whatever you want to call it, they have all been fantastic all year, with the one exception being that the goaltending was awful for most of the season. That's been the story, and Linus Ullmark, we know some of the other stuff going on with him. But boy, when you have bad goaltending, it can torpedo a whole season, and it very nearly happened in Ottawa. But the flip side of it is you look at it and you say, boy, if we got even average goaltending, forget about great goaltending. We don't need Connor Hellebuck. We don't need a Vezina Hart Trophy guy. We need average or even just almost average goaltending. We're good enough to beat a lot of teams. And I think that's the situation that Ottawa is in. Ullmark's looked much better over the last couple of weeks. And this is a guy who won the Vezina a couple of years ago. They don't need him to get red hot. They need him to get lukewarm. And as soon as they do that, I think they're as good as any team in the Eastern Conference other than maybe that Lightning team. And, Carolina's going to be a tough team to get past, but I think they might do it. I think they might have to hang a Metro Division banner up in their arena next year, even though they've never played in the Metro Division.
It is, the East to me is so fascinating, and it really has been all season long. Well, really since Buffalo sort of turned it into gear with that 10-game heater and never really looked back. But I mean, if we go back to all of our preseason predictions, I was just looking at the betting show that we did. Buffalo, like the Habs were like a pick 'em to make the playoffs. The Sens were right around there as well, a little bit of a dog. But Buffalo, Boston, Pittsburgh, Philly, all of these teams were plus money. Some of them big time long shots to make it, and yet they're all here right now. Like of those teams, Buffalo, Philly, Pittsburgh, Boston, those two series that'll be going at it. Is there a team you like more, and do you have heavy leans on those first two series in the first round?
No, and I'm with you. I have no. I'm working right now as we speak on my annual bandwagon guide, which will go up on Friday, where I go through the playoff teams and I rank them. Like here's how. Here's how easy it would be to jump on board this team. And one of the things you look for most years is a good underdog story. I don't know that there are so many underdog stories that I don't know if any of them. I just finished writing the Flyers capsule, and I said, look, in any other year, this would be a great team to get on board with. But this year, there's so many other teams in the same zone. And yeah, imagine if you had gone at the beginning of the year and said, okay, I want to put together a parlay. Give me the Flyers, give me the Sabres, give me the Bruins, give me a Penguins team that we all think is tanking for Gavin McKenna. I want them in the playoffs, and I want New Jersey, Toronto, and Florida out of the playoffs in the East. And the ticket would have printed off just saying you own the casino if this wins, because there was no chance. I mean, they're all great stories. I'm on board with the Sabres. I wrote about a month ago, speaking of bandwagon teams, that the Sabres might be the single greatest bandwagon candidate that we've ever seen in the NHL, just given all the misery that they've been through and that fan base has been through. And the fact that now they're not only are they in, but it's not like they scratched and clawed and won games 2-1 in overtime to sneak into the playoffs with a bunch of loser points. This was the most entertaining team probably in the whole league. So I mean, if I had the ability to influence the hockey gods, which as a Leaf fan, I very obviously do not, the Sabres would be my pick. I'm nervous. We've seen some things in the last month, and I talked about some of the numbers with Ottawa, a little bit of the reverse situation in Buffalo, a couple of warning signs flashing on the dashboard. I hope it comes through. I would love nothing more than to see the Sabres go on a real long run. I think at the very least they can beat Boston, and then we see where it goes from there. But that's who I'm rooting for. As far as whether I think they can finish it or not, it'll be a great story. I've been wrong about them for all year long. Let's hope I'm wrong in the playoffs too.
Oh, listen, I'm with you on the Sabres. And how about, can you imagine a Buffalo-Ottawa Eastern Conference final? It could happen. It absolutely could happen. And wouldn't that be something?
All I'm asking from those two fan bases is, as you're making your way up and down the 401, just wave at the Leaf fans on your way by.
They'll be watching baseball, I'm sure right now. Hopefully the Jays can get going. Hey, just before we go, I did want to just, as we leave, just get your thoughts on a very disappointing season for last year's President's Trophy winners here in Winnipeg. What do you make of what happened to the Jets?
Yeah, it's a tough one, and I don't know that I can fully figure it out, because I think, if you had gone back on opening night and you looked at this Jets team and said, not even going to make the playoffs, not even going to come all that close. I mean, we know there was the little late season
little blip
dose of hope that they gave you, but the season's going to be a write-off. I would have said, okay, first of all, I would have said clearly Connor Hellebuyck misses the whole year. No, he gets hurt, he misses a few weeks, and that's where things really start to go south. But it's not Connor Hellebuyck. He plays fine. He's not the MVP every year. Nobody expects that. I mean, that's, unless you're late 90s Dominic Hasek, you're not going to have that level of performance. But Hellebuyck wasn't the problem. Mark Scheifele gets 100 points. On down the list. It was a nasty division to be in, and if anything, just highlights how thin the margins are between success and failure in this league. And in a sense, as bad as that has been for the Jets, maybe that's a little bit of good news, because anybody who tells you, boy, this team can't get back to it next year, this team needs to start all. Hey, we just listed all the teams, the miracle teams in the playoffs. Who's to say who can be next time?
Sean, thanks so much for doing this. I always love your work in The Athletic, and we will look forward to. I'm with you. Sign me up for that Sabres bandwagon, and I would love to see your predictions about the Senators be right. It would make for a very fun next few weeks for those of us watching north of the border. Be well, and thanks for doing this. Enjoy the playoffs.
I'm going to try.
Enjoy the draft lottery on May 5th.
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Take it easy. Follow him on X at Down Goes Brown, and check out all of Sean's work in The Athletic. Well, we got one game left here for the Winnipeg Jets. It's tomorrow night against the San Jose Sharks. It is Fan Appreciation Night. Jets have lots planned for their fans. Let's find out a little bit more about what to expect tomorrow, what fans can win, and how we're going to wrap up the season with our pal Kyle Ballharry from the Jets right now on WST. One more game for the Winnipeg Jets. Should be a fun one down at Canada Life Centre as we wrap the 25-26 season. And, of course, it is Fan Appreciation Day. And one more chance to bring our pal Kyle Ballharry on from the Winnipeg Jets to get ready for the final game of the regular season. What's going on, Kyle? How are you?
Feeling pretty great. Weather's pretty nice today, of course, here in Winnipeg. Preparing for Fan Appreciation Night on Thursday night. It's the April 16th, and we're going to be giving away a lot of things, Andrew. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously we'd love to be preparing for a whiteout, but this is a great day, not only to wrap the season, but also from your perspective to celebrate the people that make Winnipeg Jets hockey what it is, and that is the fans of the Winnipeg Jets. And everyone's going to get in on the action at Game 41.
Yeah, that's for sure. We've got tons of giveaways throughout the night, as mentioned, including pull tabs for every fan at the door. And every fan will win a 12-ounce fountain drink no matter what, plus whatever their prize is on the pull tab, anywhere from bicycles to $100 gift cards to other concession items. And then throughout the night, we've also got such items like electric guitars, Andrew. Like this beauty right here.
Let's see. Can we get some good balls air guitar going on with that?
There's not a lot, buddy. I'll just strum it twice, and that's all I got for us.
That's quite the axe. Jets branded guitars. Taking it up.
It's awesome. It's really cool. So we're going to give away some of those. And like I said, pull tabs at the door for everyone. And don't forget, we are giving away the hot dogs for a year. All
Jet
next
dogs,
season.
Not just a hot dog. Let's do this.
For a year next year. So one lucky fan in the third period. All you need is a ticket and to be in your seats in the third period for that moment where there will be a incredible wiener.
I see what you did there. That was good. I got to tell you, the thought of going into next season knowing that I had a Jet dog waiting for me at the arena at every single game is quite enticing. I know Canadian Tire is the sponsor for the night, so there'll be a ton of Canadian Tire gift cards given out. You mentioned the Jets axes, the guitars. Also, a mountain bike, some mini appliances, an air fryer, an espresso machine, mini bar fridge, a vacuum. I can't imagine coming out of the game with a vacuum. But
I think it's exciting. I mean, we were talking last night. I mean, in the long history here of this arena, we've given away fire logs, shovels, TVs, snow blowers, hot dogs for a year coming up tomorrow.
Is it a Jets branded vacuum, much like the guitar you just showed us?
I don't think it is, actually. I'm not quite sure. I think it's just a terrific item from Canadian Tire. And I think the Jets branded guitar is one of the coolest items for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, there are going to be giveaways throughout the game. We mentioned a bunch of things. Other tickets to Canada Life Center events. Tons of Jets merchandise, including jerseys and apparel. And there's always great deals to be had as well at the end of the season. I know there'll be big savings over at Jets Gear for the fan appreciation sale. I think it's going to be 30% off just about all in-stock, regularly priced items. And yes, a lot of talk about the Jet dogs for the year. Great deals. I know they're going to be giving away a bunch of food items as well. And at the end of the day, one day to sort of wrap the season. And in addition, I will say for Canadian fans, bit of a treat to see one of the stars of our Olympic team, young Macklin Celebrini, live and in person for their visit here to Winnipeg. So, listen, obviously we were hoping maybe it wouldn't be the final game of the season, but as it will be, I know you guys have had a lot of fun. By the way, I just want to give you and your team a special shout out on the show. I can't get over how good the celebrity lookalike promo is, and it seems to get better. But the one, was it last game with the Bryan Cranston to start it off and go through? I mean,
it was a good one last game.
Absolutely, absolute magic. Doors open at normal times. I mean, it's 7 o'clock puck drop, but I guess when you come in, doors. Everyone's going to be getting that card. Everyone showing up is going to win a prize. You got the free drinks, concession items, all that stuff. And one more time to fill the building, have a good time. And of course, Thursday, it will be all about the fans for Jets Fan Appreciation Day.
Yeah, it totally will be. Mock 10 will be back on the stage. We'll actually have the Dirty Catfish in the concourse entertaining as well. You know, it's been a long season. It obviously didn't turn out how we all hoped it would. But, you know, there's still been 40 games of, honestly, excitement and passion and community and gathering and lots of great moments on and off the ice here all season long. And we certainly know that, you know, the games are special to everyone, no matter how old you are, no matter where you come from, whether you're local, whether you're not. You know, I think we're just sad to have this season come to an end, right? And not keep reliving the magic here and, you know, push towards a Stanley Cup this year. But there's excitement for next year. And, we'll conclude this year with a lot of fun and saying thank you to the best fans in hockey. Truly, they are. Winnipeg sports fans are unbelievable, whichever team they're supporting. And certainly we feel it here each and every night throughout the season. And even though we didn't make the playoffs this year, it's been an exciting season here at the rink. I think if we win on Thursday, that's our 20th win of the year here at home in front of the fans. So, I think we just celebrate the game and the excitement of the season. Mark Scheifele got 100 points and milestone new franchise leader, so we'll salute him. And then also, Andrew, I can let everybody know that Scott Oak, legendary broadcaster legend, Scott Oak has hung it up, but he will be at the game on Thursday for us to give him a tribute at a TV timeout. So that should be a really special moment as well.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Fan Appreciation Night, one more time to get out to Canada Life Center for the Winnipeg Jets season Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Incredible giveaways. Everyone's going to walk away with something and some great prizes throughout the evening as well, including, there you have it, the Winnipeg Jets branded guitar. I'd love to see our guy Tristan Rivers Music win that, and he can take it out for some of his shows when he's playing all the incredible songs of WST in the Winnipeg digital space that he's penned. Kyle, congrats on a great season for you and your team. Looking forward to Fan Appreciation Night one more time, Thursday night, Jets and Sharks to finish up the regular season. All the best to you and your team. We will see you Thursday at Canada Life Center one more time for the 25-26 season. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Thanks, guys, and thanks, everybody. See you Thursday night.
Princess Auto is a proud sponsor of Winnipeg Sports Talk, in a lot of ways synonymous with Winnipeg. Headquartered here in the Peg, founded here in Winnipeg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. So while we wait for the Bombers to kick off, get ready for spring. Those projects on your list with great deals throughout the month waiting for you at your local Princess Auto, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West in the city, out in Brandon. And you can always shop online 24 hours a day at princessauto.com. Spring is just around the corner, and our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli, Manitoba's power sports superstar, are ready to get this snow out of here. But before we do that, great end-of-season deals on sleds and snowmobiles that you can check out. But as we get excited for the snow to leave, great preseason deals on motorcycles of all brands, the best in ATVs and side-by-sides, not to mention golf carts for the summer up ahead as well. And it doesn't stop there. Amazing RV options for you to take advantage of the summer, and so many options when it comes to boats as well, in addition to outboard motors from Suzuki and Mercury. The best deals in town. That's how they've been in business as Manitoba's power sports superstore for 80 years. Pop out and see him in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231, and shop online today at their website at chudspowersports.com. April and spring are here, and Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery are kicking it off strong with a power event. Right now, you can save big on the batteries that you actually need this season. Lawn tractor batteries starting at just $37.50. RV and deep cycle batteries from $69.50, and heavy duty power like Group 27 and 78 DT starting at $89.50. Need serious cranking power? Check out their 13-inch stud post battery, $94.50 while supplies last. All in stock and all priced to move. Visit Manitoba Battery on the north side on Logan Avenue, on the south side on Dovercourt Drive, and get powered up for spring at Manitoba Battery, powering what matters. Check them out online today at manitobabattery.com. All righty, the show continues. Patty G is going to join us a little later on. We're also going to bring in our pal Amber Mara from Sport Manitoba for an awesome corporate event that you can get involved in with a little pickleball and support a kid's sport. But ding, ding, it is the main event of today's WST. Let's welcome in, after his final late night edition of K&R, it is Ken Wiebe, well hydrated as always, from the Winnipeg Free Press. Junior, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Andrew, great to be with you. Yes, it was an interesting late night show. Sean Reynolds' bombshell that I did not, I mean, I did see part of it coming for sure. We have discussed, but yeah,
Oh, what was the bombshell? I heard him talking about it. Maybe I didn't get to that point in the show.
Well, you would have remembered if you had. So he was talking about the hastening of the reloading, and he had as many. He said not expecting it to happen, but to speed up avoid the later pain. He had potential for deals for all of Hellebuck, Scheifele, Connor, and potentially Morrissey. So
this offseason?
I was not in agreement. He didn't say it was necessarily this offseason, but he wasn't advocating or saying it was happening. He said it was
I think it's naive for us to think that every one of those guys is going to finish these long-term extensions in Winnipeg. But I mean, listen, if they press that button this offseason, I would be absolutely stunned because, I mean, they put so much into this.
Yeah.
And you're still at a point. I mean, Scheifele's coming off a career year. You'd have to think Hellebuck has – I mean, listen, Hellebuck had a real down year by his standards this year. Can he come back next year? Absolutely. Kyle Connor's just starting this contract. Morrissey is really, to me, Morrissey's the linchpin of all of it. And that's why nothing's happening this summer. But if they get into next year and the team is not good, going into the year where Josh can sign an extension, and if they feel that might not happen, to me, that is the move that would start a greater exodus. And listen, if they didn't have Josh Morrissey, we know that team is, there's no other Josh Morrissey waiting to walk right in the door for the club. So, that is interesting. Big picture. But I mean, listen, there's many people that will tell you that the retool is one way of going about it. With the assets the Winnipeg Jets have, if you did decide to go down that road, it would be seismic change to the organization. But some will make the argument that at that point, some tough decisions are going to need to be made at some point. And the sooner you do that, the better the return, the faster you get on the track to do that. So,
yeah, and again, to be clear, Sean wasn't advocating, saying that the Jets will improve by getting rid of these guys. He was saying that, we're not talking about Oleg Tverdovsky and Chad Kilger for Teemu Selanne. He was saying that you have to have, Michael Misas and guys like that coming back if you're going to even, entertain those thoughts. But again, ultimately, it's not the direction we expect the Jets to take. And, again, I think that they're more likely going to be aiming for the bounce back route. And as you mentioned, I mean, Hellebuck, again, you're getting some of the same stuff that I do, Huss. I mean, this is the first time he's sub 900. And let's be honest, the team in front of him was also not very good for a good chunk of the year. You don't go from plus 86 in the goal differential to minus 24 without having a big breakdown in terms of how you played in front. But at the same time, I mean, Huss, we said this from the very beginning when the Jets broke into the league. I mean, the Jets can't survive with league average goaltending, and some folks in the chat will not, the league average goal or save percentage was around 900 or sub 900. So it's not like Hellebuck was a terrible goalie, but the problem was that when you go, in the 920s to 895, that's a big drop off. Also, we know there's an injury involved, heavy workload down the stretch, all of those things. But Connor Hellebuck is an elite goalie, and he wants to get back to playing at an elite level next year. And that will include the team being better in front of him. But again, Connor Hellebuck's not happy with 895, even though we know it's not only about the numbers. I mean, Connor Hellebuck played his best hockey in Italy, and he accomplished an incredible feat. But I think that Connor Hellebuck will benefit from a long offseason, Huss. Again, it sucks for him. He wanted to be playing until June. But given what he went through this year with the injury, I think that a 4-month break is probably going to have him as hungry as ever, because we know his ultimate pursuit now is winning a Stanley Cup. And you can't do that if you're not in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, bottom line for Helly this season, I'm the biggest backer of him. I want him in the net. I think he gives the Jets the best chance to win, all of that. He went from being the most valuable player in the league last year to being league average. And that's a massive, massive drop. There's a lot of reasons to it, to your point. But, I mean, you don't need to look much further as to that, those stats and that performance to tell you a greater picture about the Jets overall. Listen, before we dive too much into this, look ahead to tomorrow, into the off-season playoffs. I mean, I can't wait any longer. Mount Bowness erupting last night. I mean, wow. And we played at the start of the show, Kenny. We played the pushback quotes from 3 years ago, which to that moment were about as scathing as you'd find any NHL coach say. He ramped that up exponentially last night at the expense of the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, what did you think watching that?
Yeah, it's one thing too, Huss. We started to see the quotes circulating during the Jets game, maybe during the intermission, but then somebody sent the video of it, and I actually went back to watching, and man, the emotion. And Huss, I would say this. I mean, if I had been a little quicker on the draw and if my jaw wasn't hanging at the floor in T-Mobile Arena after Jeff Hamilton asked the question of Rick Bowness, by the time I had turned around to grab the mic, thinking there might be a follow-up there, Rick was already on his way walking out of the room. So I would think that maybe if there had been some follow-ups, we might have seen something similar a couple years back in Vegas. But again, the benefit to us is that we just saw Rick Bowness, right? The Jets were just in Columbus. You know, we heard him in his meeting, and then I, had a chance to go over and say hello before the Sportsnet guys got their, rights holder meeting with Bowness also. Rick's passion was exuding. He this was, they were already in the midst of this late season collapse, but he was loving the fact that he was back behind the bench, teaching, interacting with players. I think I said it on the show at the time, Huss. I mean, I counted him going around and talking to 12 different players before the morning skate even started on that Saturday morning at Nationwide Arenas. So he loves the game. And here's the one thing. What Rick Bowness said, and some people don't like the delivery, and again, we've seen some of the reaction from Columbus exit meetings today, Huss. Some of them were, we're almost seeing the exact same things said by the Jets. It was uncomfortable, but guess what? It was meant to make them uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable what they're going to have to go through in terms of a culture change in Columbus. I mean, this is a team that's won one playoff series. I mean, I know that, again, this is apples to oranges as usual, but in 25 seasons, they've won one playoff series, right? A lot of people going wild about the Jets having 4 in 15 years. Well, Columbus has won in 25 years. So just a reminder that winning is hard. But yeah, I mean, I think Rick wants to be back. I think I think that, again, we've said this the same thing as when he was here. Rick Bowness doesn't need the next job, but he wants the job. So this level of honesty is only unloaded if you're committed. You're not saying that as a flyby, Huss. You're not saying that if you don't want to help fix what you see as a problem. But again, what he said makes some players uncomfortable. I mean, people don't hate losing enough is what Rick's message was. And, we've seen he has the artillery to change, have that seismic shift with the dressing room and leadership and all those things. Again, I think that this only enhances the possibility that Rick is back. But I think the other part of this equation, Huss, is this. And it's also part of the reason why Rick was brought to Winnipeg to help fix that culture. Rick was brought into Columbus to see who's going to be part of the problem and who's going to be part of the solution. And he will be detailing those things in, ad nauseum when he meets with Don Waddell at the end of this road, and those two decide where they're going with it.
Hey, speaking of Don Waddell, do you think he knew that Bones was going to drop that nuke last night, or do you think that he was sitting back kind of caught off guard like the rest of us?
Yeah, I don't know that he would be caught off guard. I don't know that he maybe expected it to be revving into the RPMs maybe necessarily being high in the red line situation, Huss. But I mean, Don Waddell knew what he was getting. I mean, I spoke with Don in Columbus that weekend for another story I'm working on. I did speak with him a little bit about Rick Bowness. And again, he also was brought in for the communication factor. And the one other thing we're seeing in the tweets from Mark Shegg and Aaron Portzline is that players still love Rick Bowness, even though he eviscerated some of them, right? I mean, that's part of the deal. And again, it's an old school approach, Huss. And again, the proof will be in the pudding if it works and helps with the turnaround or whatever else. But again, as a journalist, you appreciate the honesty. But you also understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's also part of figuring out who you want in the organization moving forward on the player side. So again, and this is the other part, Huss, that we know. This isn't Rick Bowness doing something for Rick Bowness. This isn't for show. Rick isn't the kind of guy who's going to eviscerate someone publicly just for the kicks or to have a good clip. Like, this is a guy who cares incredibly about. He's been with the organization for only 4 months, essentially, Huss, but he wants to see them succeed, which is why he's so passionate about what he does. So again, I applaud the honesty, and I'll be curious to see how it goes, but I would be leaning to thinking that Rick will be back. Now, I think the best case scenario for the organization is that Rick is back, and they also bring up Trent Vogelhuber from the Cleveland Monsters. He's been their development coach at the minor league, at the American League level for some time here. I think it's a great opportunity for Trent to learn at the feet of Rick Bowness, and then whether it's 1 year, 2 years, or whatever else, I think there's a bit of a succession plan moving forward there. And again, that's just my own opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, by the way, I meant to say this segment brought to you by our friends over at Toyota. Time to go check out the Toyota Tacoma right now during Red Tag Days. Its standard I-Force engine boasts an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. It is the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And when it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out in a cinch. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days from March through May. While we were on this topic, and this is not something we've really talked about for a long time, but you see the passion, you see how much Rick loves the game, how much he loves coaching, the fact that he still is there and wanting to do it. It got me thinking, why did he leave Winnipeg when he did?
Yeah, I mean, this is something Sean and I discussed last night too, and I think maybe I was just fortunate that I read the story. Rick had long COVID when he retired. He had some health we knew there were some health challenges during the year. Aaron Portzline documented this in his story in The Athletic. We know that Judy's health was not, in a great place for part of that season, and he had to take the leave. But the fact that he was, 70 years old and dealing with long COVID, I just don't know that he had the energy to withstand the rigors of a 82 game schedule that maybe reaches 100 if you get to where you want to be, Huss, right? So I think obviously Rick is feeling much better. I know that he was enjoying his time in Florida from staying in touch with him, from talking with his son, Ryan. Rick went on a, I think bucket list golf trip, played St. Andrews, went to Scotland. But at the end of the day, when the call came, when he was on the boat in Florida, I think there was a part of Rick, and we saw it when he was in Winnipeg, when he kind of came out of retirement, if you will. This is a guy who's coached more games than anybody else in the history of the game, but he still wants to win a Stanley Cup. He wants to be in the room. I asked him flat out what he missed the most or what he was enjoying the most about being back. And he's like, it's the teaching. It's helping someone get better. He wants to see Denton Matejchuk grow in his first full season and become a, top pairing guy with Zach Werenski. He wants to see Charlie Coyle put together an incredible offensive season. So I think that it just comes down to health, Huss. I mean, I know that, always speculation and, was he retiring? Was he being forced out? All those things. Same with going back to Paul Maurice. I mean, I think Rick Bowness just wasn't in a place where he could put in have the energy to go through the rigors of being a head coach in the National Hockey League. And it's great for the game that he is healthy enough that he was able to come back.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's it's just the Jets is such a weird, as opposed to any other team. I mean, your last two coaches leave on their own accord. I mean, that just does not happen very often. And then you see how much he's bringing to the table, how much he cares. It did get some of us talking about, it kind of brought us back to a couple of years ago when he left, but it certainly brought us back to 3 years ago after that Vegas series with what we heard last night. Bringing it back to the Jets. I mean, listen, the results... Well, the results were important. What was important is that they didn't get 2 points the last couple of days, but they, saw some other good stuff. I liked the pushback last night. The team still, fight until the end. Beautiful goal by Isaac Rosén. Obviously, the milestones. But I just want to ask you about the young players. We've seen Chibrikov the last couple of games. We've seen Braden Yeager. And obviously, Rosén. These are the guys that I think most fans are paying attention to right now to see how they go. I mean, what have you thought about the early looks, particularly for Brayden Yager and the return of Chibrikov?
You bet, Hassan. Just kind of wrapping a bow on the Bowness situation. I mean, people saw the Jets didn't really react super great in the exit interviews either, but the results were the results. The next year, the Jets won the Jennings Trophy and allowed the fewest goals in the National Hockey League. And yes, they had a disappointing ending to their first-round matchup with Colorado after winning the first game, but it's hard to argue with the results. So it can work, even though it became an uncomfortable situation. As far as the young guys go, a couple simple things, Huss. Nikita Chibrikov, and we talked about this at the time, moving way better on the ice than he was in November. And now that's no accident. This is a guy who's just, now it's 14 months removed from a big-time knee surgery. He's moving better. He's, had the agitation factor ramped right up. He probably delivered the biggest hit on Brayden McNabb of any player in the National Hockey League this season. And Brayden McNabb is a wrecking ball, Huss. He's the guy that's usually doing the hitting and knocking guys onto their behind, if you will. I've liked the fact that he's been involved offensively, looking for his shot. We know he's got great offensive instincts. We know it has not been a great year for him with the Manitoba Moose. 6 goals, 16 points. It was not what you expected from a guy who started the year in the NHL. But I love the honesty from Chibrikov when he was on with Dan Robertson at the intermission, saying how hard it was for him to get back to where he wanted to be. I remember my colleague Mike McIntyre wrote about Chibrikov adding a bunch of weight in the offseason. I would imagine some of that weight has been trimmed off. And I thought he really was skating better. And quite frankly, Huss, I think Chibrikov's gone from being a guy who you weren't sure what you were getting to now being a guy who will be competing for a roster spot. And he has to compete for a roster spot. He's on a one-way deal, and he's no longer exempt from waivers. So he's either in the NHL with the Jets or, in all likelihood, given his skill set where he was drafted, he would be a guy that probably is getting plucked off waivers if he's not on the NHL roster in the fall. So good on him for making a positive impression on his second recall. In terms of Lambert, Huss, I like the fact they gave him a bump into the top 6, if you will. A little more responsibility. Maybe not as noticeable in the Vegas game and a real big, heavy game against a team that has one of the biggest and most mobile defense corps in the NHL. But I still like the fact that Brad is getting a little bit more involved physically. We know he's going to be in the NHL as a regular if his offensive game is there, but he has to have the trust of the coaching staff, and that's one thing he's worked really hard on during the stretch of games that he's been up. Brayden Yager, love what I've seen in a small sample size. He's got NHL speed already, Huss. He's got NHL thinking ability. We always talk about the word processor for Cole Perfetti. Brayden's brain is working at all times. His brain can keep up with his feet, which will allow him to play the center position. There's been lots of debate about, why isn't Lambert back at center? Well, Brayden, I think he just thinks the game at a little bit quicker level right now, even though he's a younger player. And I've liked what he's seen. He's got a great shot, Huss. We saw it on the 2-on-1 chance. Really good stop on the play by Vejmelka. He's got great defensive instincts, which would allow him to break into the NHL sooner than either Lambert or Chibrikov, because his defensive game is probably a little bit more well-rounded. But now the thing is, Huss, where do you slot in? Again, I think Brayden has put himself in a position where he can compete for a job in the fall, but I don't think he's ready to handle the second-line center job. But I do think that skill set is something that can translate to being a full-time NHL player. Now, Huss, I know some people are going to freak out in the chat room here. To me, it's similar. Brayden Yager has now become Elias Solomonson. He's probably ready to be a fourth-line player at the NHL level, but he might be best suited to go back to the Moose for whether it's 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, whatever that time may be, where he's playing 20 minutes a game, being used in all situations, getting a lot of puck touches so that he can impact the Jets on the second half of the season. Now, if you're Yager and you have a great summer and you kick the door down and give the Jets no choice, that's good on him. But that's sort of where I see things right now. And again, for the inject all of the youth right now crowd, I know that's not what they want to hear. And again, Brayden can change the narrative by having a great summer and beating someone else out for the job.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it will be fascinating to see how that's handled moving forward. There is part of me that thinks that maybe, what happened with Solomonson this year, as well as the way the team looked after they went a little younger and a little faster, I do wonder if they give more time to consider maybe having some younger players in the lineup sooner. I guess we will see. Now, here's why not question of the day for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray. I'm putting this to you, and I'm interested to see everybody in chat. Opening night, 26-27 season, Winnipeg Jets. Is the second line center for the Winnipeg Jets on the roster right now?
I don't think so. Unless we know the Jets have been reluctant to do this. Unless somehow Gabe Vilardi is shifted to center, Huss, I don't see that being a situation. Now, again, it's possible that Adam Lowry holds that job, but to me, Huss, Adam Lowry being fully healthy, sliding back into his checking line role. Now, again, previously we've known that sometimes that means he's having second line minutes at 5-on-5. But to me, you're asking if the second scoring line center will be Adam Lowry. I don't think it will be. I think that Braden Yager, the other part about Yager is that you've seen the strides that Morgan Barron has made at center. I think that Morgan Barron is best suited to be riding shotgun with Adam Lowry on the checking line. And that may also open up the opportunity for Yager to force his way into the equation. But no, I think that the Jets either are moving Vilardi over or they are trading or acquiring that second line center if they somehow, sneak their way into the top 5 of the NHL draft lottery or make a trade for one of those players.
Ken, when we're talking about the center ice position, you've got Morgan Barron, you've got Adam Lowry, Jonathan Toews is also in the mix right now. Tomorrow is the final game of the regular season. The team's not going to the playoffs. What are the chances that tomorrow is the final game for Jonathan Toews in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, it's a fair question, and only he knows that answer for sure, Huss. I mean, my opinion hasn't changed. I think Jonathan he came back with the idea of playing multiple seasons as long as his body holds up. I think he will want to play again after going through everything he went through this year and knowing that next year is more of a normal year and not a compressed schedule season. I think that there's a chance Jonathan is back in a reduced role, whether that's as fourth line center or if Lowry is the second line center, you could see a scenario where Toews is maybe the third line center. But again, I'm not expecting it to be Huss. But again, you also have to be prepared for the opportunity that it may be. But again, we'll be looking for the markers and the breadcrumbs if that's the case. But I don't think that Jonathan has decided that he's ready to retire. Now, again, we'll see how things unfold. But I'm still expecting him to play another year.
Weber, we move on to tomorrow. And then I guess I was kind of laying this out earlier. Tonight will be interesting to see what happens in the NHL because it will have an effect on the importance of tomorrow's game. A win by the San Jose Sharks tonight against the Blackhawks would put them, or even a point, would put them in a situation where the Jets could not catch them if they beat them tomorrow night. So they would not be moving over and moving up their ground. The key game tonight is actually the Panthers. The Panthers are at home to the Wings. If the Panthers win that hockey game, the Jets would not be able to pass them based on the tiebreaker if they were to win tomorrow. So I think the best case scenario for tomorrow's final game would be a Sharks win tonight, a Panthers win tonight, and then you would actually go into the game not worrying about the team winning and moving up a spot or two. Do you think that would change at all the lineup tomorrow? And I guess the part B of that, regardless of how that works out, or does that hinge on who's in the net tomorrow night? How do you see things going? And have we seen the last of Hellebuck for the year? Is it Comrie, or might it be one of the young guys that have played very well for the Moose this season?
Yeah, it's a great question, Huss. There's a lot of things happening. And again, I understand the fan base wants the percentages to be as high as possible. And that makes sense.
I would imagine management does too.
Well, sure. But I mean, ultimately it's just a spin of the wheel, right? I mean, the percentage is there a big difference in a 3.5% chance? I mean, last year the Islanders got first overall from 10th. So wild things happen. I think I looked at the last 6 times, the 3 times in the last 6, the team that had the highest odds won, but that also means 3 times they didn't win. So anyways, the draft simulators will be getting a big push in the next
It's also
couple
where
of
you're
months.
starting. I mean, like,
No, for
if
sure.
you're starting in the 7th spot, the worst possible scenario, like, you've got a better chance than 8 or 9 to get the 1 or 2 pick, but it also can only push you back two spots in the worst case scenario. So, and I mean, for a draft that a lot of people think there's sort of a top 7, like, I'm sure that's very much on the mind of Kevin Cheveldayoff and his staff right now.
Yeah, I mean, they'd like to get the highest pick possible, but again, the percentages are, reasonable, I guess. So I just don't think they're changing. As you said, Huss, I mean, it's looking like they're guaranteed a top 10 pick, and they still want to be in the top 3. So regardless of how they play on Thursday, that's still going to be the case. I don't think we're going to see Connor Hellebuyck again this year. I know some people feel differently. Think that they should roll out the best lineup possible. I think that Connor got plenty of work down the stretch, and he's earned the right to either back up or be the 3rd string guy. I could easily make the case for Eric Comrie wanting to play again, starting again. He's already had a career high in games played and starts. But Huss, to your question, I mean, I could also envision a scenario where the Jets recall Dom DiVincentis to give him his carrot. I mean, Dom was going to make his NHL debut against the Washington Capitals, were it not for Connor Hellebuyck's incredible recovery and being back in 3 weeks instead of 4 or 5. So even though Milic won the MVP, and rightfully so, he got his taste earlier this year. I think that the other thing that complicates the scenario a little bit, Huss, whereas normally it would be an automatic that you start the Moose goalie, is that the Moose are still battling and jockeying for position and want to avoid being on the road in that play-in series.
Well, and they're in Chicago tonight.
Right. So again, it's a tough one, right? Because, does that mean you're rolling with Milic back-to-back if you're playing, or sorry, it's not back-to-back. They play Thursday, Saturday, I think. But and either way,
I was just thinking about getting him back into town and ready
direct
to play.
flight. I mean, direct flight from Chicago. You get, you bring up Isaac Poulter to back up. I think they'd be fine on that front. But again, I don't think you want a lot of disruption if you're the Moose. You're trying to give them the best chance to be in the highest spot. We've heard Scott Arniel talk about the importance of playoff games. Now, the importance of playoff games are even more important than a potential play-in game on the road, or 2 play-in games on the road. So I still think there's an outside chance we see DiVincentis on Thursday, Huss. But if we don't see him, I expect we would, again, I'm not going to say 100% see Comrie, but again, I'm not expecting Connor Hellebuyck to play another game this year. I think 62 starts, counting the Olympics, is plenty. And, it'll either be Comrie or one of the Moose guys between the pipes. And Huss, Eric Comrie loves the work, but if you're Eric Comrie, you might have got enough work in that game in Utah, especially in the first 2 periods when you face 63 shot attempts. So, but again, we also know that Comrie would love to play as many games as humanly possible. And especially as a guy who needs a new contract, you want to shine as much as you can. I mean, his personal winning streak was snapped, but it was not because of his effort. I mean, he was the best Jets player in the game.
Yeah, I know you and Ren talked about this after the game on Monday night, and I'm sort of with you. Like, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal, like a big honor for Eric to play in game 82 of the season. I mean, if they want to show that they want to give him a cookie, as you said, an extension is probably the way that you handle that for Eric Comrie, which I would imagine there's a very good chance of that happening, considering the season that he's had, the relationship he's got with Connor Hellebuyck. To me, that would be one of the more safe bets, especially without really at this point Milic or DiVincentis seeming ready to sort of knock down the door and be that next guy.
Yeah, both Comrie and Koepke probably are the safest bets on that front, Huss, in terms of the UFA pool, which is a topic that I'll be writing about in tomorrow's Free Press. So, yeah, I mean, and also too, I mean, some people are looking at the numbers, Huss. I mean, if you're looking at the just the numbers when Eric was in the backup role and not when he started 11 of 12 games, his numbers are almost equal to last year and very similar to when Laurent Brossoit was the best backup goalie in the NHL. So those numbers got a little convoluted during that stretch of time when he was maybe a little bit overworked and, by his own admission, kind of pressing a little bit to, show that you can handle the starting job when you've been mostly a career backup.
Weber, listen, we just talked about Jonathan Toews. Obviously, there's players like, nice to see Villy get a game last night just to round out his time. We'll see what happens with Bryson. But of players that are signed with the Winnipeg Jets for next season, how many and who do you think may be playing their final game tomorrow as a Jet?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one, depending on how deep the cuts go. I mean, my opinion on this is very consistent. The Jets need to upgrade the talent level, even though they had a couple stretches this year where Huss 9-3 to start, .750 winning percentage, and coming out of the break before the 3-game losing streak, 29-7, which was like .650. So I mean, you're not going to tear it down completely. The core is where it needs to be, but they need to augment the core. No matter what happened in those blocks where they played well, they need to upgrade the talent level. Nino Niederreiter inches away from his 500th NHL point. He'll probably, in a season full of milestones, I think he would love to get that one in game 82, Huss. But again, I think that Nino's season has been, there's no way around it. It's been a disappointment. It personally hit him hitting 1,000 games, getting to play in the Olympics, 2 great milestones and feats for him. But Huss, I mean, Nino Niederreiter was the left winger on one of the best third lines in the NHL last year, and finishing at, even with the knee injury, which obviously impacted his skating ability and ability to get in on the forecheck. The fact that Nino Niederreiter went from a, preeminent 20-goal guy and now is dipped to 8 in his third year with the Jets. I mean, that's a substantial drop-off from a player that they weren't expecting a drop-off from. I would say that Vlad Namestnikov is a guy who has done some incredible things here with the Jets, Huss. But the dip from him going from second-line center to, an incredible start, which people forget, Huss. Vladdy had 6 goals in his first, I think, 10 or 12 games this year, and had, I think, 1 or 2 since. And now, again, he's always been a value-added player. But again, speaking of Bones, I could see the Columbus Blue Jackets being in on the market for Vlad Namestnikov and a potential deal in the offseason too. It's a guy that Rick Bowness loves, trusts, and would fit there. But again, those two guys have given the organization everything that they have had in the tank and in the reservoir in their 2 seasons. But I mean, again, I think that those would be 2 guys that would, do you think would either attract interest or could be in that scenario that you talk about.
Yeah, listen, I certainly think Barron will be back. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He seems to be a pretty big part of what's moving forward.
They got to extend him, Huss. That would be an off-season priority for me.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I mean, either that or, then you're kind of, especially considering the opportunity that I think he hopefully will get to maybe upgrade his profile, responsibility. This is a guy that you'd want to have clarity on, for sure, going into next season. The one thing about Nino, and I do wonder whether this has any effect on it or at all, or this is just something that we talk about. He was pretty clear that, maybe would have liked to have done some things differently as it pertains to the surgery, and, obviously wanted his 1,000th game and wanted the Olympics and got all that, but at what expense? Would that at all weigh on his future when it comes to how the team decides to go in the offseason?
Not to me, Huss. For Nino, he's got to come back moving better, right? I mean, I think there have been times since he's been back from the surgery, and again, it's not easy coming back from that kind of surgery in season and expect you to kind of, Scott Arniel always says, you're jumping into fast-moving waters after, missing significant amount of time. But Nino's a guy that has to live around the blue paint, Huss. I mean, that's where he's made his money in the NHL. That's what made him a consistent 20-goal guy. And he just hasn't spent enough time in that area this year. And his ability to disrupt play and be a strong forward checker, those things just weren't there for him this year. So if he's back, it's probably in a 4th-line role, Huss. And it's a hard thing for a veteran player who's, consistently been a middle 6 player, a guy that's been on the power play. I would think that would be a tough thing to go through at that stage of your career. But again, Nino has a great summer. He can change the narrative around him, whether he's back or whether he's elsewhere.
Weaver, good stuff. Quickie on the way out. Which Canadian team does the best in the playoffs?
Oh, I know you talked to my old colleague Down Goes Brown. Ottawa has a great chance to be that team, Huss. I mean, I know that everyone's fired up about Montreal, but Montreal, I have a hard time believing, again, Montreal's doing great things. They're not a team on the rise. I don't see them beating Tampa. I think that this is one of the scenarios where they needed to upgrade their goaltending situation at the deadline. Again, I'm not saying they had to go out and get Bob, but I think that if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan and you had Sergei Bobrovsky going into that series against Tampa, you'd feel differently than you do about Dobish or Fowler or whoever ends up getting the call between the pipes. Again, the problem for Ottawa is that they're playing a team that is a Stanley Cup contender. And, if they can get past Carolina, I agree. They could go they could be the Eastern Conference representative, but they also got to get past a team with great experience. And again, Huss, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Nikolai Ehlers hitting the 71-point plateau for the first time in his career. I know, again, some people have tried to turn the page on that chapter, but he deserves credit for what he's done, even though his ice time is not that much up from last year. And then he got bumped to the second, and he got bumped to the second power play.
Can I just say this? Ehlers is this is the exact same player that he was in Winnipeg as he is now. I know he's got, I guess, 8 more points than last season.
Yep.
He only played 69 games last year. He's prorated on exact. He's got 26 goals. He scored 29, 25, 28, 25, 24. He's playing second line.
Goal guy.
Playing second line, and he's playing the power play. I mean, what you see is what you get from Nikolai Ehlers. He is the exact, there's a lot of people in narrative oh, finally, he's really reaching his potential. It's the exact same guy that he was in Winnipeg for all those years. A hell of a great player.
A lot of those guys were ready to drive him to the airport at the end of the summer last year also. So anyways, I agree with you. I mean, and the other part, this isn't about one person or two people, but Rod Brindamore is a pretty smart hockey coach. Same with most of the coaches who had Nikolai Ehlers previously. I've said this to you a lot. This is why I hate the per 60, the per 60 numbers. He's playing the same amount, which is why he's probably playing the amount that he should be playing. Now, again, he got a chance early in the year on the top line with Aho and Jarvis. Didn't work. That's okay. He may go back to being a first line player at some point, but the whole points per minute, points per game, coaches want guys that produce, and Nikolai Ehlers has produced, but he's producing in the same role that he's been asked to produce in before, which is probably not an accident. He doesn't need 22 minutes a game. He can get his point production in the minutes he's given and stay healthy by maybe playing a few fewer minutes.
Yeah, no doubt. Full 82 games for Ehlers, finishes with 26 goals and 71 points, career high in points. And listen, a really nice season. That Ottawa-Carolina series is going to be great.
Awesome.
Cannot wait for the playoffs. Weber, great stuff as always, man. Have a great one. We'll look forward to seeing you at the rink and on the links maybe a little sooner than we planned. Take it easy, buddy.
Yep. Thanks for having me. And again, I know some folks are high on Edmonton. It's going to be, to me, the way that the Vegas Golden Knights are playing now, as we saw a couple nights earlier. Again, McDavid and Draisaitl can do extraordinary things. I just don't see them. I don't see them getting back to the Cup final this year. Do you?
One word answer: Dallas or Minnesota in the first round.
I'm going to say Dallas, but not with a ton of conviction.
Yeah, well, and
I don't know. They haven't been able to win, Huss. I mean, until the Wild show you.
They better get Rupi Hintz and Miro Heiskanen back in. I think I might bet Minnesota, so it's a win-win either way. I either get money or I can rejoice the fact that they're out again in the first round. Ken, have a great one, pal. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me, buddy. I'll see you on Thursday. Cheers.
All right, lots more to come on the program. Pat Gregoire is going to join us, as well as a visit for a really cool corporate event for pickleball in support of kids sport that you and your gang at the office might want to take part in. That's next on WST. WST would like to thank our friends at Cleanline Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk throughout the Jet season. When we're doing the Winnipeg Jet lines, we do it with the gang at Cleanline, who are the leaders in Winnipeg residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical services. Your one-stop shop with over 40 years of experience. And like the captain, Adam Lowry, has the back of his teammates, Cleanline has yours with 24/7 emergency services. So when you're in a jam at any time of the day, Cleanline has you covered. 204-500-2001 is the number. Write that one down, 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency services from the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets. You can find out more online at cleanline.ca. Spring is here, and it's time to get down to Winnipeg Sports Superstore Royal Sports at 750 Pembina Highway to get ready for it. The bike shop is open with incredible selection of bikes, including e-bikes that you'll want to check out. Of course, baseball season is here, all the equipment ready to go for the season, and tons of Toronto Blue Jays merchandise. All the soccer players are getting loaded up with the best selection of boots and unis around, not to mention tons of World Cup merch of Canada and the rest of the world just in time for kickoff. And for all you NFL fans, the draft is coming up in just a couple weeks. The NFL draft hats are all up on the wall, and for the first time in a while, they're actually really nice. So you can pop down there, get ready for spring, the World Cup, the NFL draft, Blue Jays season, and more at Royal Sports. 50 years plus, family owned and operated at 750 Pembina Highway. It's fight week in Winnipeg, UFC on Saturday, and Boston Pizza is the place to be. Pop into your local Winnipeg and area Boston Pizza now and enter to win a VIP UFC experience to this Saturday's UFC Fight Night at Canada Life Centre. The grand prize includes 2 official UFC Fight Night tickets with premium seating, in-venue hospitality with UFC athlete experiences, and reserved access to the ceremonial weigh-ins. Plus, Friday night, come into Boston Pizza City Place for a UFC fighter meet and greet after the weigh-ins at 7 p.m. There'll be pictures and autographs with the surprise UFC fighter, UFC prizes, and loaded Octagon pizzas on special. Book your table. Give Crystal a call. City Place, 925-4109. Get ready for Fight Week and UFC Fight Night at Canada Life Centre at Boston Pizza. Much more to come on WST, but first, a big shout-out to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, we got a really fun pickleball event for corporate. No, start it like this. 3, 2, 1. All right, this is going to be fun. Let's bring in our good friend Amber Mara from Sport Manitoba and Kids Sport to talk about an excellent corporate opportunity and a real fun event in support of Kids Sport coming up. Amber, what's going on? Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Beautiful day for it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, it's kind of a great time to talk about this because it's gorgeous outside and a lot of people are getting outside. Pickleball has been one of the fastest growing sports and activities. And we've got a great pickleball event to maybe hopefully introduce a lot of new people to the event and raise some money for Kids Sport.
Yeah, we are partnering with the Pickleball Club of Winnipeg. They're just out in Headingley. They approached us wanting to do some sort of fundraiser in support of Kids Sport, which that's music to our ears. And yeah, it's really just a nice afternoon for people to come out and play. Could be a good networking opportunity. Could also be just a good fun like team building opportunity. I know I'm going with some of my colleagues. They're excited about it. Some of them have not played before, but that's not the point. It's just about getting out there and having some fun.
I think that's part of the reason why it's such a cool activity to have as part of a corporate event, in that, you know, so many people are getting into pickleball, but it really is a game that, I mean, you don't have to have played it for a year to go out, have fun, and really get into it.
Yeah, for sure. And I love a corporate golf tournament. I am a terrible golfer. So part of this idea came from, okay, for all the terrible golfers out there, how can we have an event that's a little bit more openly accessible, regardless of what your experience is with the sport or your skill level, just so anyone can participate.
So it's going to be May 7th on Thursday. And you mentioned golf tournaments. And listen, we all love a great corporate golf tournament. They can be a long haul, if you will. And I think what's so neat about this one is you put together something that, you know, companies and groups can get involved with, but it's not something you got to be teeing off at 8 o'clock and you're not getting home until 8. You really put this together to kind of get going right at the lunch hour and have everyone home at a normal time as if they've been finishing their day at work.
Yeah, and we have some flexibility too. So our team size is 2 people to 6 people. So if you want a lot of court time, great, put in a team of 2. If you want to have some more spare time to do some networking, great, put in a team of 6. So you can really make it whatever suits your organization's needs best.
I guess this is the first of hopefully many of this event.
Yeah, it's a pilot project. So we're trying to get some teams who are willing to, take a chance on us and see if it works. And if it does work, that's amazing. We can, really grow it from there and make it something really special for kids sport.
So it's going to be Thursday, May 7th from noon to 4 at the Pickleball Club of Winnipeg. And this is another one of the newer facilities, I'd imagine, here in the city and greater Winnipeg area that is booming right now with pickleball. Tell us about I guess what people need to know about the actual event, and if they're sitting at home thinking, geez, we got a great social club at work, or we love to support kids sport at any time, maybe we could get a few people out. How do they get involved, and what do they need to know?
Yeah, so we do have a minimum team registration fee. It's $1,000. That can be fundraised, or that could be a corporate gift. If it is a gift from the organization, they would get a $600 tax receipt. Just that part goes toward just kids sport as a donation. We also have a celebrity component. So whatever teams fundraise, if they go above and beyond that $1,000, they get entered into our celebrity bracket. And we have some amazing celebrities lined up. We have confirmed, obviously, our very nice Olympian friend, Desiree Scott, from the soccer program, as well as Tyson Langlar and Brooklyn McDougall, both Olympic speed skaters. We are also working on confirming Caitlin Laws, and that one's looking like it'll come together, as well as local radio personality, LTI, from the Ace Beat Show. So some great presence from some wonderful sport partners of kids sport. Couple other things to know: paddles will be provided. You don't have to worry about showing up with your own equipment. Just obviously indoor court shoes would be ideal. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pickleball Club of Winnipeg. Registration online. You can fundraise if you wish. You don't have to. Just pay the registration fee, and we'd love to help them out.
I have to say, when you told me about this, I'm like, this is going to be so much fun, but I think it has the potential, for sort of corporate fundraising events. There's a lot of great, entities in Winnipeg that really try and support everything. And to be honest, the logistics is one of the most challenging things. And to have, a shorter period of time in support of kids sport in an activity that everyone can sort of get into, I think the potential for this is wild. So I hope a lot of people will get in on the ground floor and get in on the event on the 7th of May. Important to note that it is, of course, all in support of kids sport, Amber. And I think most people do know, but for folks that might not be familiar what all this is supporting, tell us about the important work of kids sport here in Winnipeg and the province.
Yeah, so Kids Sport is a registered charity, and we pay sport registration fees for kids whose families are living below the poverty line. So a lot of families, unfortunately, have the reality where they need to decide between groceries and food on the table and whether or not their kids get to participate in any extracurriculars with their friends. And we believe that kids should deserve that opportunity to be able to just play and have fun, and we play a role in making that happen for them. So the demand for kids sports support is higher than ever. Sport is more expensive than ever, and the fundraising efforts that we're putting in are more important than ever.
Amber Marr is with us from Sport Manitoba and Kids Sport. It's the Kids Sport Cup, the first ever celebrity pickleball tournament in support of kids sport. It's on Thursday, May 7th from noon to 4 at the Pickleball Club of Winnipeg. For folks that are thinking, you know what, my company would be perfect for this, we'd love to be a part of it. How do people sign up? Where do they go, Amber, to count themselves in and support a kids sport?
Yeah, so I'm doing a ton of outreach. So if I've already reached out to you, answer my email. That would be amazing. The other thing would be if you go to kidsport.ca and make sure you're in the Manitoba chapter, under our news section, there is a link there to Kids Sport Cup where you can find us, and it'll take you straight to the registration page.
Perfect. So again, it's the 7th of May, noon to 4 p.m. at the Pickleball Club of Winnipeg. Looking forward to checking that place out. Amber, best of luck with the event. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll hopefully hear great things about this and talk to you in 2 years, in a year, I should say, talking about a great second event after raising the bar on the 7th of May in 2026. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, that should be a real fun event. Hopefully many of you, especially ones with, companies that have good social committees and stuff like that, get a couple teams in there. Support kids sports should be a real fun. And tell you what, if you can manage to make that happen, it is a Thursday afternoon. So supporting a charity, maybe getting out of work for the afternoon sounds pretty good to me. All right, Pat Gregoire is going to join us in just a minute. We're going to get into some golf picks for the Heritage on the weekend. Golf season is just about here. Now, we've got this beautiful day today. Of course, there's a special weather statement for tomorrow. We're going to go from a high of 18 to 0. We'll just deal with it for the next week. But very soon, we'll be back swinging it. And I cannot wait to get back to Breezy Bend, our partner course, since the first day of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Incredible support from the gang at Breezy. And, man, it's been so much fun being around there over the years. If you're looking for one of Winnipeg, like a long-term home for you and your family at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, check out Breezy Bend. Go to breezybend.ca for more information. Our pal Corey Johnson would love to tell you more about the course, all the changes that they've made, the improvements over the last few years, of course, the clubhouse, the patio, practice facility, junior programs. It's all there at Breezy in one spot. Hopefully we'll see you there a little later on this year. And if you are thinking about a world-class fly-in fishing experience this summer in the province, there's only one where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg with world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality. That, of course, is Aikens Lake. They are well over 80% booked for the summer. So if you're thinking about maybe doing a little couples trip, getting some of the fellas together for a once-a-year trip, or maybe something work-related, corporate, Aikens can handle all of it. Go to aikenslake.com for more information on booking options and availability for the 2026 season. All right, let's bring in our guy, Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. Talk a little playoffs, talk a little golf. P. Greggy, what is up, my man? How are you?
Doing all right, Huss. I'm still licking my wounds from Augusta. It was not the best betting week. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
We faded Rory.
We faded Rory, and that ended up being horrible. I came on this program earlier. I think it was maybe Friday, Thursday after, or just about after everything was starting to wrap up, and saying, well, Rory played really well, but like we didn't think that it would be possible for this guy to deal with all the distractions of going back to back. Meanwhile, we find out maybe a couple of hours later, he tells us, oh yeah, I've been dropping Poppy off at school, hopping to my personal PJ and playing rounds at Augusta. That looked like a guy that had been playing a lot. Although on the weekend, he almost Rory'd himself, but he was able to figure things out. I think we slept on him big time. The fact we didn't even consider like top fives or top tens for the guy is shameful. For him to go back to back to back is going to be really difficult. But this is our reminder. Jake, I know you're watching. Please set a timer for whatever date it is of WST winners in 2027. Do not allow Rory to not be in our card at some point. Okay, please. There's your reminder. It has to happen.
I even brought it up with us when we were finishing the winners show. With a couple guys. Let's make sure we can get Rory McIlroy at 13-1. Are we being idiots for kind of buying all this? Oh, he's going to be so busy that week, and then he went out and did it again. And man, you feel for Rosie. He was in the mix again. I mean, Cam Young backers had a great run, but once again, it was Rory at the end. And man, unprecedented. No one has ever done a three-peat, and that is going to be the story going into next year's Masters. By the way, gang, if you missed it at the start of the show or yesterday, it is fight night coming up on Saturday here in Winnipeg, and we've got an awesome promo along with Pat, Jake, and the Coolbet guys. We got some sweet seats for fight night on Saturday, and I know many of you are locking in a few wagers for the National Hockey League playoffs. Many of you are going to bet on the fights as well. Get those bets in over at Coolbet and just screen cap your wagers. For every $10, you will get an entry into the draw for the tickets. And if you're actually betting on the UFC on Saturday, send those in and you'll get a double ballot for every $10. So I've had some great response so far, but I know we're going to get to these playoff lines that are up for most of the series right now in a minute. Anything you're getting on for the playoffs, just do it before Friday morning, get them in, and then we will announce the winner on Friday's show and send somebody to see the fights. I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't been to a UFC event. I guess the last time they were here was 2017. We had Robbie Lawler here, and we got Mike Malott here. So some great seats, some great response, and another thank you to you guys for letting us send one of our WST Cool Betters out to a great event, Patty.
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, Huss, if it wasn't for the last week of the NLL regular season for myself being in Halifax, I was seriously considering hopping on a bird and
that would
heading
have
out to
been great.
Winnipeg. I've been dying to get to a UFC event, and when you look at just it's been in Edmonton and it's been in Toronto and Montreal, that's great and all, but when I saw it in Winnipeg, I'm like, man, this could be a cool little trip. But unfortunately, NLL calls this weekend, but that doesn't mean that there's not a Cool Bet Winnipeg trip in our future.
Well, and by the way, I mean, for those of you that are thinking, hey, I want to do this and I am going to jump on a couple wagers. Maybe you don't normally bet the fights, but you're thinking about going, you're going to watch them. Maybe wait till tomorrow. Aaron Bronstetter is going to be on the program. He's going to break down the card for us. He's always been very good to us with some picks in the octagon. So we'll give you a few suggestions. You can get those, and then just make sure you screen cap them and send them into contest@winnipegsportstalk.com. And we will announce the winner on Friday. Thanks to everyone that's already entered. All right, Patty, I tell you what, why don't we go straight to the golf right now, and then we'll wrap it up talking a little hockey with what's already up on the boards. I always feel, we get to the Heritage right after the Masters, and there's a bit of a lull, especially after getting my ass kicked like I did last week in the bets. Although, I should mention this right off the bat. Another reason, gang, to always pay attention to the promos, to the promotions tab. Always pay attention to the Twitter feed, and especially the things that we're throwing out with some of the great contests. You guys did a contest with Pat Mayo where we were picking, those matchups for all 4 rounds. I was so down in the dumps after all of my outrights and everything lost. And then I opened up my account on Monday and was running going up. I think I got second place in that contest.
You did. Yes, you did. Yeah, that's exactly what you do, folks. Always make sure you hit that promo tab. Make sure you're following @CoolBet Canada on all the socials. It was a little bit of a last minute ad, something that we'll probably do a little bit more going forward. Heck, it might be something, maybe we get some WST pick'em leagues going, maybe CFL.
It was fun and it was easy to do. You just had to go in there, and I mean, you're just predicting scores, and I'll have to go back and see. I must have nailed a couple because I was in the mix going into the final round, but I obviously had a really good Sunday, and I was so destitute based on everything else. So anyways, that was a nice, but trust me on this one. I mean, it was a completely free contest. It was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
So we'll pay attention to, and we'll always keep you up to date on those. But RBC Heritage, listen, big money event. Scotty's in the field. Scheffler coming so close. I do wonder if history would be different if that putt on 17 didn't drop in. He's plus 350. Huge gap. We got Xander at 12. Fitz at 16, Henley at 16, Cam Young at 16, Tommy at 18, Ludwig Oberg, Patrick Cantlay 20-1, Morikawa 22 and 28s on Sam Burns, Siwoo Kim, and Jordan Spieth. There is a boost on the PME exclusive, which you'll see in the left corner. Spieth to 40. I jumped on that. He's won this event before. He's lost it in a playoff. I think that is a nice number to go, but I was kind of looking around at this. Fitzpatrick's got a good course history here. You don't really need to be an absolute masher to win at this course. It is accuracy. Obviously, you got to sink some putts, Patty. How's the card shaping up for you for this weekend?
I'll be honest, the card is looking a little bit tight right now. I have one play that I've made, which I'll get to in a second. And then I have 2 or 3 other guys circled right now, and I can't decide, and I didn't want to pull trigger. So I'm going to put some leans out there, hear what you have to say as well as, and then I'll make my decision. But I have some picks to give out. It's just, I'm not feeling too confident after last week. But the other reason why, I've only made one bet, is because it's at the top of the board. I bit the bullet. I never like doing this, but I bet Scotty Scheffler at plus 350. It's chalky. It's a square pick. It's gross, but I think it's the obvious one. And I think coming down on Sunday, if he's chugging along like we think he probably will, you're going to be laughing at the value that you get at him at plus 350. I think he's found his iron game, and I think that's a problem for everyone else on tour. You mentioned that putt on 17. If that goes in, at minimum, we're getting a playoff. I think he probably birdies 18 and wins the damn thing and makes the biggest comeback in Masters history. Like, it is the butterfly effect. But with that being said, Scotty, when you look at how he played, sure, it was great. Third in approach, first in tee to green, first in total strokes, all at Augusta. But he's also been unbelievable here. He's only played here 3 times. His worst finish was T11 in his first year. Since then, he won the damn thing. He won the plaid jacket a week after winning the green jacket in 24. And then he had a great showing here last year, T18. Scoring average is best over the last 5 years, 67.4 average scoring here. So he is, tailor-made for this course. So I'm going to start my card at the top. I don't like doing it, but I think this could be like a Scotty revenge spot for him, and he's got the course history to do it as well. You mentioned the Pat Mayo number, 40-1 is not only is it the best number in the market right now, it blows everyone away. Right now at Coolbet, it's 28-1. I've seen it as low as like 24-1. The fact you can get it at 41 is just banana lands. I mentioned Scotty's great record year and what he's been able to do from an average scoring record over the last 5 appearances. Jordan Spieth's not too far away, 67.4. 68.2. So just almost a full stroke less than Scheffler. He won here in 22. He almost went back-to-back the next year, lost in the playoff, and then had a top 20 finish last year. He was great at Augusta, finished T12. I mean, it looks like he is starting to find his strat. I can't remember the last time we've seen him play this well, this consistently. He was 8th in tee to green, 5th in approach, and 12th in total strokes gained last weekend. So Jordan Spieth at that number, I could not resist. So that's going to probably be a play of mine as well. But even at 28-1 in this field, I like him. Went a little bit further up the board for a possible play. He didn't play last week, Huss, but Sahith Theegala, 66-1. He's got a lot of great course history here. And let's be honest, he was a disaster last year. He is really starting to turn things around, though. 8 of 9 cuts already this season. He has 4 top 10s. And I was looking back. He didn't have a single top 10 last year. Absolutely crazy. But he's got good juju here. 2 top 5 finishes at Harbortown. Finished runner-up back in 2024. So that one is one as well. And as I was in the green room, Huss, waiting, another one a little bit higher that I think might have to be a play as well is Jake Knapp, 33-1. I think he fits here, although bit of a masher off the tee. I mean, he is really, really finding his form as well. Listen to his results.
It's insane.
It's crazy. So Masters last week, 11. The Houston Open, T6. He misses the cut at the Players' Championship. But before that, 6, T8, 8, T5, T11. And then had that T62 at the St. Jude. It's been unbelievable. It's been going to last year, what we've seen from this guy. So, I think he has been on an all-time heater. I think he is just itching to break through. And I think with this golf course, I think this could be the spot for Knapp to really break through and have a great performance.
Yeah, Knapp, I'm not sure that this is the best course for him, but he's been doing it at every course.
Everywhere.
And getting in the mix. So, I mean, certainly if you're looking for top 10s or something like that, he is a guy. I will preface these picks with letting everyone know that if you want to join the Sudarshan Yelamaraju Army, there was Tiger Tracker, there's Rory Tracker, there now is Sudarshan Tracker. And I think it's a Winnipeg guy that started it. And let me just see. They followed me last night. I said immediate follow. I ride with Sudarshan. And let's see what this. I think It's at Track Sudarshan. Now, Pat, that's an automatic follow for you.
Yep, I'm trying to find it right now.
And let's see, Track Sudarshan. There it is, the Sudarshan Yelamaraju tracker. So get on that. We're up to just about 100 followers. And Sudarshan, while we're speaking about him, obviously was not in the Masters, just getting to tour. But this year, T11, T5, 8th, T8, 6th, missed the cut at the Players, T6, and, this is Jake Knapp. I'm like, wow, that sounds a lot like, that sounds a lot like our guy. But he's been a top 20 machine.
Yes.
And, his results so far this year, T14 at Valero, T6 in the Texas Houston Open, T5 at the Players, and then T37 and T17. So this guy is the real deal. I believe he's plus 230 to be top Canadian. I think I'm just going to go with plus 205 on the T20 because, to be honest, and I know Corey Connors has been quiet, I've always thought this is sort of a Corey Connors track where you don't have to be a bomber. Iron accuracy is so important. If he can sink some putts, I think he could be in there. So I'm going to go with Sudarshan on the T20. As far as the outrights, I am on the Spieth number, as we mentioned. I've got a nice long shot. I like Chris Gotterup here. I mean, Gotterup has such a well-rounded game. And he was a Masters rookie, had a nice weekend there. He's 55-1. And I actually used my 10% boost on that one as well. So we get a big number. I'm back on the Gotterup train this week at that number.
I did not realize he was 55-1, Huss. That's great value. And I think, a lot of people were open to his eyes of how well-rounded his game is, because I think when he first broke in, everyone just, saw the linebacker version of him. He walks out there. He looks like if Scotty Scheffler and Brooks Koepka had a baby. And you think he just mashes it off the tee. But like this guy around the greens, the ability for him to chip and to, also when he did, like, he was throwing darts out there and he was using those tight greens and the undulations of Augusta. Like, he's a smart player. He's got great hands too. Like, I think some of that part of the game is needed with how small the greens are here at Harbortown. I think that's a great play. I didn't honestly, because I went Scotty, I went, okay, Scotty, a couple close ones around the 20, and then went down to like where those 60 and 80s are. So I completely skipped them. I just assumed he wasn't playing because I didn't see him. That is unbelievable value, and I'm going to have to add it to my card house.
Let's do it. Mr. Chris Gotterup. Now, the other guy that I'm going to put a little sprinkle on, listen, there's a bunch of guys in that 20. Now, Cantlay is always there at this tournament. Like, we should probably for sure have him in on our top 20 parlay. But I'm gonna put a little nickel on Victor Hovland, 67 on Sunday at the Masters. Vibes are good. Came out with the hard launch with his new girlfriend at the par 3. Much like, I guess that's the new thing to do. Wyndham Clark, Vic, bring out these new babes that they're rolling with. But anyways, Vic's got a big smile on his face, playing well. 31-1 for Vic Hovland. I'm going to get a little piece of him. But as far as putting something together, as I say, I think we'd be nuts not to put Cantlay on a top 20.
Yep. I've already got him top 10. Like, that was one of my picks for top 10. So top 20, obviously, I'm going to like too.
I mean, I think we like Spieth and we're motivated in on it. So maybe Spieth top 20. And then who do we want to round that out with? I mean, Victor Hovland, we want to go Jake Knapp. I mean, Knapp's been a top 10 machine. Can he get top 20 here, even though driving might not be as big of an impact? Or do we go with a guy like Gotterup at a bit bigger of a number? What do you think?
So we're in on Cantlay for sure. We're in on Spieth. Cantlay's minus 137. Spieth is minus 115. Oh, man. I mean, Knapp definitely has been a top 20 machine.
Knapp's minus 104.
And Goddard's 130. I mean, we're going to get a better number with Goddard. And it's crazy to say, but I think Goddard might actually fit the course a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's just Knapp's been on that heater, but I mean, Goddard's been no slouch either. I'm leaning Goddard up, actually.
Let's do it. All right. So let's do Sunday Sweat Club, top 20s for Cantlay, Jordan Spieth, Chris Goddard. I love it. We'll get that up in the combo cards. And again, if you're betting golf with us or hockey, as we're going to get to in a minute, screen cap it, email it into contest@winnipegsportstalk.com, and we might be calling your name on Friday for some seats to fight night, courtesy of CoolBet. Before we go, Patty, let's get over to the NHL. Now, a whole bunch of games tonight. Some of them mean something for the playoffs. Well, really, the only one that I think really matters to the possible matchups is the Kraken and the Golden Knights. Now, there are games like the Kraken, the Sharks, the Florida Panthers that affect the draft order, which we're, of course, paying attention to, and so are people in Toronto. But again, I mean, Golden Knights tonight on the puck line against the Kraken, I love. I'm hoping San Jose can win tonight at minus 122. That means the Jets can't catch them. And as much as I want Florida to win tonight, I don't think they want any part of 2 points tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if Detroit wins that one. So kind of putting together that Detroit, San Jose, Golden Knights puck line for tonight. But we've got series prices on 5 series that are set right now. Let's go through them. Buffalo, Boston, the Sabres, minus 175. I think this is a really fair number on this one. Buffalo should be favored. They've got home ice. Although I will say this, the Boston Bruins have surprised people all year long, but so have Buffalo and 6 of the 8 teams that are in the East right now. Thoughts on that one and the Sabres at minus 175?
Listen, man, despite the Buffalo Sabres being in the Toronto Maple Leafs division and the rivalry that is there, it's hard not to feel good for the city of Buffalo with that fan base. And yeah, I know they've had some success with the Buffalo Bills, but when it comes to the Sabres, I mean, they have been an absolute dumpster fire. And it's been one of the best stories considering what happened earlier in the year. Like they were on the precipice of talking about rebuilding. They fire their general manager. Lindy Ruff comes in. This is crazy. Just all the change that we've seen over the last, year and a half, basically. But they've turned it around. The only thing that scares me is it's still the Buffalo Sabres. But B, the thing that's a little less tongue in cheek is this rotation of goalies is so scary to me because we've seen so many times in the National Hockey League and Stanley Cup playoffs, it's all about the hot goalie. Are they going to be willing to ride a goalie out? Are they going to be willing to get away from the rotation? And if not, is the rotation going to be good enough? That's the only thing that scares me. I think this matchup, though, with Boston, this isn't the big bad Bruins of past. I think they are a little bit better than a lot of us are giving them credit. It's minus 175. I think that's a fair price. I don't think I'm sprinkling on the Bruins for value here. And I don't know, maybe I just take the over on and bet that this thing's going to go 7. I don't know. I really don't know which way to go here, Huss, because I do think it's perfectly priced by the bookmakers.
I mean, I'm in at this point, and I mean, I'll just run through these numbers. And listen, you can love a number, you can hate a number. There's only one team that's winning a series, so I mean, there will be one number that wins and one number that doesn't. Tampa, listen, I think this is criminal that they're such a big favorite and the Habs are +2. Clabs are 2-1 and Tampa's minus 250. I think that one should probably be closer, but I still think Tampa's going to win. Pittsburgh's at minus 152, Philly at plus 125. I was a little surprised Pittsburgh was as big of a favorite as they are. The Dallas-Minnesota series, Dallas minus 116, Minnesota minus 104. I'm telling you right now, if Hintz and Heiskanen are not back, I think there's huge value on the Wild, as much as I hate them and hope that they lose in 4. And then we've got the Hurricanes and the Sens. the Sens plus 150, Carolina minus 185. We just had Down Goes Brown on that. I think Ottawa is absolutely live in this series right now. And if they win, I really like their chances in that next round as well. But of those series that I just mentioned, if you were just going to take one side, which is the team that you like the most, whether it's because of the number or regardless?
I think it's two that jumped out there. I know you said you didn't like the Pittsburgh Philly series and thought you kind of surprised, but I've been really impressed with this Pittsburgh team. It kills me to say
me too. I just thought that with the way Philly's played, I thought it might be more like 135 or minus 140. But I'll tell you what, I'm down with it. I mean, I think that Pittsburgh with Crosby, with Malkin, as long as the goaltending holds up, there's a lot of young players in Philly that don't have the experience, and they've been playing playoff hockey for 2 months. Pittsburgh's going to be ready.
Good point.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the Penguins.
I think that from that point, but like in terms of like value, I think it's the Senators at plus 150. I've been on record, and I know you've been with me on this as well, that the sports books, the analytics crew, the numbers, anyone who comes from that lens, I feel like really overvalues this Hurricanes team. And from what I've seen with the Ottawa Senators over the last, like I've obviously watched a lot of them because they're in the Toronto Maple Leafs division. Look what they did with the Toronto Maple Leafs, giving them absolutely everything they could when everyone was saying this thing's going to be done in 4, it's going to be done in 5. Well, I think the team's improved from last year, and I just don't. This Hurricanes team time and time again falls flat on their face, and usually it's not until the conference finals. Well, now here, I think they have a little more of a challenging first round matchup than they probably have had before. And this Senators team, I hate to say it, they're pesky. They are built for playoff hockey. And at that value, at plus 150, it's hard not to plug your nose and take it. It's just for me, I just have no faith in the Hurricanes, man.
It's going to be fun. And you know what? It's fun to, back teams that you're sort of pulling for. Leaf fans may be excluded on this one. Okay, so how about this? This is coming together perfectly because we're on the same page. How about we do a WST or a partner parlay in the combo cards for 3 series? We take Pittsburgh minus 152. We take the Sens at plus 150 and Buffalo minus 175. If you put those right into CoolBet, it's plus 551. Maybe the boys can give us a little boost on that, and we can get that up in the combo cards. And I think at least one, if not all of those series are probably going to start Saturday. So if we can do that today, we got it up for a couple ones. And if you want to ride with us, you can do it, snap it, send it into contest at winnipegsportstalk.com, and you might be going to the fights on Saturday as well.
I love that. Yes, keep that in mind. Your combo cards, that counts as well. So whether you're Sunday Sweat Club or this playoff parlay, that is going to count as well. So make sure you send those bet slips in. I'm getting word that the Sunday Sweat Club should be up any moment.
Perfect.
It's 644 before the boost, plus 760. That is a way bigger number than what I thought it was going to be. I have my Greggy's Golf special up. It's really close to that. Switch out Goddard for Henley. So I'm going to put another Greggy's Golf special out there as well. So keep an eye. So I'll have 2 out there. We'll have our playoff one up as well. And I know Jake is coming on the program tomorrow to tee up more of that playoff. We're going to have more odds because the series will start to come together. Maybe some player prop stuff as well. So, I mean, this is, I keep saying it these week after week after week after week, but it's true. We are in the best time to be a sports fan. It's a best time to be at CoolBet and sprinkling all your wagers, staying cool, betting responsibly, of course, as well. But this is going to be a lot of fun.
It certainly will be. Just for you golf folks, you go into the combo cards, you'll see the Sunday Sweat Club. A couple of other ones you might want to just put a very small one on. The Rory Slam is 567 to 1. And I love this one. This one I think is live. The Gentleman's Sweep, Scotty, PGA US Open and Open Championship. That one's boosted up to 134 to 1. So tons of great stuff with the combo cards. Check the exclusives. That Spieth number is under the PME Weekly Boost, and we will get our playoff parlay, Ottawa Pittsburgh, Buffalo, all those teams in the East will get that up as well. Patty, thanks again for helping us put this promo on for UFC fans here in the Peg. Have a great one. And just on the way out, give us your 30-second NLL update. What's happening? Where are you in the booth this week? Every time I go out, by the way, on Friday night, I'll always look up and there's Patty doing the game. It's been great to see. What's going on? Who do we back if we haven't been paying attention to the National Lacrosse League all year?
Oh, listen, if this is the weekend you're going to tune in, it's great. Playoffs have started a week early because I'm in Halifax. Halifax Thunderbirds look dead to rights. Now all of a sudden they've climbed themselves back into that playoff hunt, and it's a win and in game for both teams, Halifax and Ottawa.
Ooh.
Ottawa, I was in Ottawa last week. They dropped that game against Toronto. Now all of a sudden they're 8-9. They were 8-5 just a few weeks ago. Winning to get in. So either one of those teams will win, guarantee either the 7th or the 8th seed. So that's going to be a massive game. And it's actually a TSN doubleheader. So after the game in Halifax, shortly thereafter, Saskatchewan and Toronto in the Prairies. That one, those two teams have already advanced, but winner of that one will guarantee to get home floor. And with the way the bracket is laying out, man, you need that top 4 seeding because you might have to go up against an absolute wagon. And Toronto is very, very much looking to avoid the Buffalo Bandits, who could be sitting anywhere between the 2 and the 4 seed. And if you know anything about the NLL, the Buffalo Bandits are a wagon, and they have had Toronto's number for many, many years in the playoffs.
That Ottawa-Halifax game that Pat will be doing, Ottawa -103, Halifax -118. I'm going to think about this and get a bet in beforehand so I can actually watch with a little skin in the game, watch you do your magic with the TSN NLL team. Travel
Appreciate
safely. Have a great call, Pat. And
I will.
Let's get a winner for the Sunday Sweat Club coming out of a rough Masters for the two of us.
Yes. Let's get back on track. Tune into the NLL, sprinkler wagers at Coolbet. And of course, Huss, we got WrestleMania this weekend on top of UFC.
I'm on the
Fight
card. Night. Trust me on this one. I am breaking it down. I'm watching line movements.
We just lose him?
From our friends over at Coolbet. Man, it's been a fun show today. Always love having Pat on the program. Our pal Kyle Ball here. Yeah, it was great. I mean, Amber Mara, and then real good hockey conversations with Ken, and of course, Sean McIndoe of Down Goes Brown. Let's get Remo back in here. Remo, before we go, what are your thoughts on this on these playoff series so far? Do you like what we put together?
Yeah, I think Ottawa, interesting. I think I'm a Carolina guy. I take them pretty much every year because everyone thinks they can't get it done in the playoffs and they always have an easy path to the final. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you that Ottawa's got a good team. You and Sean made a good case that it's just been the goaltending that's been holding them back. And if they can somehow get average goaltending, they can give Carolina a shot. I think Carolina is too experienced, but Ottawa's got a good team. So I can see where you're going there. What was the other one? We were having some interesting debates.
We're going Buffalo,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Ottawa.
Okay, Buffalo, I like. Pittsburgh, I agree with. Ottawa, I mean, if you had to take a long shot, I think they've got a good chance as any. Like plus 150 is a good number. I'm a Carolina guy, so I can't ride with that one, but I respect the process.
All right. Well, that's what we're going to cook up. And as I see, Jake will pop in tomorrow. We'll get his thoughts on it. And soon we're going to be getting numbers on odds for the draft lottery to get number 1 and 2 picks. And that will be fun. Mm-hmm. Hey, before we go, speaking of it, it is lottery season. Pull it up and let's see how many times it takes for us to get into number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, so we're having some great conversations in the chat house about jerseys. I brought up the hot take that the Jets need to bring back red helmets for limited number of games to pair with the heritage jerseys. And then we got on to the Bombers should we need a new third jersey for them. Bring back the 2000 jerseys.
Yeah.
Have them wear the W logo with the lightning bolt. What is that? What are you doing?
We're making it rain like the Bombers did. $12.1 million profit, an all-time record. Congratulations to the club. Hammer did mention, interesting that they did this and didn't spend to the cap. That not happening this year. Still don't really know why that was the case last season. But to the fans of the Bombers who sold out every game, and obviously the Grey Cup committee and everyone that pulled that off, I mean, that bar's raised pretty high. It is an all-time record profit. Man, it is truly a golden era of Blue Bomber football. It wasn't as golden on the field last year. Hopefully they can turn it around. We'll be talking lots of Bombers coming up over the course of the next bit. Hey, so can you get the tankathon up there and let's
I'll get it. Yeah,
finish
the Bombers
up the show and see how many times it takes us to spin before we get a 1 or 2 pick.
Yeah, shout out to the Bombers, as you mentioned, 12.1 million record operating profit, and a lot of money reinvested back into the stadium, like upgraded player facilities, security, concessions, and this year has new video boards, new point of sale system, which we've had some issues with in the past. Rum Hut redesign coming, which is exciting. So I'm curious how
maybe they'll make even more room there.
And the Bombers very involved in investing in flag football in the community as well. But tankathon time. Here it is. Let's bring it up.
All right, finishing up the show with the lottery. Jets right now in the 7th spot. Hopefully that is where they stay. We'll see what happens over the course of the next couple nights. Hit that sim and see if we can get up there into the top 2.
1.
Nope. Vancouver, Chicago.
2.
St. Louis winning that one.
3. 4.
Oh, Florida. That would be terrible.
5. Calgary, Toronto. 6. It's funny. I think it's like a foregone conclusion, 7, that Toronto's going to move down. But I guess like they could also win the lottery too.
Oh, they absolutely could. They absolutely could. It's just that if you're a Leaf fan, you're firmly expecting the worst case scenario to happen. There we go. Boom. First overall. The Winnipeg Jets are on the clock with the first selection of the 2026 NHL draft as per tankathon.com on our 7th or 8th spin?
That was like 8th or 9th. Yeah, considering the odds are 6.5%. I mean, that should take us that shouldn't happen that often. So,
as far as the games go tonight, as I mentioned, this is what you're going to want to be looking for, gang. You want the Florida Panthers to beat Detroit, and you want the San Jose Sharks to beat the Chicago Blackhawks. If that happens, the Jets are locked in at 7, and we can head to Fan Appreciation Night tomorrow, not worrying if the team wins. Heck, hope they go out and score 10 goals and finish it off with some fireworks and not change the draft spot at all. But fun show today. Thanks to everyone that's been hanging around with us, all the gang in the chat. It was quite lively today. Of course, all of you podcast listeners. Thanks to Amber Mara, Pat Gregoire, Ken Wiebe, Kyle Ballharry, and Sean McIndoe. Down goes Brown. I'm just going to spend the next little while listening to more Rick Bowness from yesterday. And I can't wait to see some of the player exit interviews by the Blue Jackets after what Bones had to say last night. Tomorrow, our final game day edition of the year. Join us at 1 o'clock. We'll have the lineup. We'll have the lines for Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. One final time this season. We'll set it all up for Fan Appreciation Day and Game 82 of the 82-game NHL regular season. Then whether it's Friday, the weekend, Monday, we'll hear from the Winnipeg Jets and get into the offseason. And, of course, start the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Huge thanks to all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Have yourselves a wonderful evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow on WST. Thanks for watching.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.